listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney. In 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? BT Unleashed with you on a Tuesday. Everybody's doing all right, I hope. Certainly ready to have a little fun today here, as we got the WBC Championship. I'm fired up about that tonight. John Fanta. I love this guy. This guy is a rising, he's not even a rising star, he's a rising megastar. We'll do some college hoops. John's going to join me today at 10:30. Obviously, tomorrow, I got to be honest, where the J-Rod, my mind is mush here in the sense that I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna do these shows here in San Diego, and I'm like it's a little overwhelming. So what I think I might just do is just, I don't know, just maybe sit on a beach bench and just open up my phone and go live from kicking.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I think that'd be awesome. I mean, you're able to kind of go to the StreamYard from your phone, so there you go. It'd be.
Do I have to wait? Do I have to do the StreamYard, or can I just go right to YouTube?
Oh yeah, wait, you're right. You probably could just go straight to YouTube and do it. Right? Easy.
I got to figure that out, man. So I'm looking forward to that. So John's going to join me in a little bit tomorrow. I know you guys know her from SNY, and the great, another rising star, Nikki Lattarulo, is going to join us here. By the way, get this picture up. So she covers, look at this. Is that amazing or what?
Yeah,
Nikki's going to join us tomorrow at 10, right around 10. And Nikki is on the St. John's Big East beat. She's obviously one of the talents at SNY, and local girl who was starting to climb fast. She's from Bergen County. So I just, I saw that picture on social media, and I'm like, I gotta, and I got to know her a little bit, seeing her at the Garden quite a bit. She's absolutely awesome. All that energy and that youthful exuberance. It's great to see the next wave of broadcasters. So we're gonna have her on tomorrow. Looking forward to that. And we'll hit it all. We'll hit it. We'll have a lot of fun with Nikki. That'll be at least an hour, I would say. So, all right, let's get now yesterday, J-Rod, you remember, right? So It came up, and I was informed about, I think somebody had it in the text.
Yeah,
right?
my boy sent the text at the end. Yeah.
About what Aaron Judge said about the WBC and the World Series. I said, all right, I got to make sure that I'm fair to my guy here. So and it was kind of toward the end of the show. So I'm like, well, if I think it's a big story, or if I've got anything to say about it, which I obviously do, I'll just jump into it today. I said that yesterday. So let's get there. I got something on Soto as well. Let's get this up here. So it is exactly. All right. So there's no misinterpretation, no hijacking. This is what Aaron Judge said. Quote, on the now keep in mind, guys, this is not about what's your preference, a WBC championship or a World Series ring. Like, that is kind of important, It's a little bit of a detail. Anyway, judging on the WBC atmosphere, quote, I'll say it, it's been bigger. The World Series I was in versus the crowd here and the one we had against Mexico, it's bigger and better than the World Series. Okay, he's just being honest. So let me get this straight. When somebody's honest, we're going to take issue with it. He's saying the atmosphere is better, and he's not wrong, but I'll get back to that. The passion that these fans have representing their country, representing some of their favorite players, is nothing like it. That's what you dream of as a kid. I was batting in my backyard, playing wiffle ball. These are the moments you dream of. All right, that's a little bit of a stretch. Number one, when Aaron Judge was a little monster in his backyard, there was no WBC. And was there? No, there was none. So, you're not thinking about the WBC, but I get the point. He's talking about like the big spot, the big situation. Gives me chills right now thinking about how special that is. Quote, I try to take the moment every game, that moment, look around, appreciate the crowd, and appreciate the moment. So who the hell has a problem with that? I mean, I honestly, I don't understand who has an issue with that. See, the issue that people should have really is the way sports has gone, where the average, truly the fan who helped elevate all these sports, who's reached into his or her pocket forever, going to these stadiums when the stadiums were like the cookie cutters in the 70s and the 80s, and you could walk up and get a ticket for $9 or $10, and all the games are on local TV, pre-streaming services. You want to get a jersey, $19, $20, $25, $30. It's not gonna knock you for a loop financially. Like, everything's changed so much so that I don't think that Aaron's wrong at all. I don't think that he's off base. When Aaron Judge says that this atmosphere is better than the World Series, I absolutely agree with him. It is. It's not a knock on the Yankee crowd. It's not a it's not an elevation of the importance of the WBC compared to what he would feel if and when he ever wins a World Series ring. But he's just talking about being on the field and playing against Dominican Republic and Mexico and having that and of course tonight Venezuela, that palpable like electricity that is just constant. That just it never dissipates. It never really goes away. It's like a soccer match, or it's like a big wrestling match, like a big one of those big like WrestleMania, where it's just a supercharge that's going through the crowd from the moment whomever comes out and from behind the curtain hits the ring. And it's really one of those great matches where there's always an ooh and an ah. Somebody hits the rope, somebody does a flip, somebody's outside, somebody does whatever they do. Some of these crazy moves they do today, it's insane, but it's awesome. And I think that he's absolutely right. I was at the World Series game when Anthony Volpe hit the grand slam against the Dodgers. It was amazing. Like that, the peak moment, when that happened, or I'm sure in LA when Cortez gave up that bomb to Freddie Freeman, like what it sounded in the moment at Dodger Stadium, and a couple of moments at Yankee Stadium. Yeah, that's very hard to replicate, but you're not going to have that constant buzz because it just does. I don't want to say it doesn't mean as much. It does. It's a World Series, but it's a different clientele in the building. It just is. So people can take an issue with that. I don't really know what the problem is. And by the way, I saw some numbers yesterday. This is pretty good. So, the WBC, I don't have the TV ratings there. I didn't get too wrapped up into that. But when it was first introduced, right? So you go back to 2006, and the attendance in total, talk about the growth here of this event, which to me is getting better and better and better. And it's becoming like a signature event. And I admit I've gone from tepid interest to, all right, like almost like curiosity, like, all right, what do we have here? You see the USA uniforms, you see teammates who are on major league teams, and then they're on opposite teams facing each other. Like, I'm like, I never thought it was awful, but I'm all in. I think the WBC has transformed itself into a phenomenal event, and I just don't understand all the hate. I really don't. I don't understand. Listen, I've said this a lot. Like, one thing I don't get, I know we've got to fill airtime and all that stuff, but the amount of energy that people now spend on stuff that they don't like, it's amazing to me. Like, if you don't like it, don't talk about it. Like, that's the other day. I don't know if you guys remember, we spent a lot on Joe B's comments yesterday. As expected, that got a lot of traction. What he said about WFAN. If you guys missed it, go check it out on the channel. But like how things have changed a lot. And one of the things that I said was, I don't think that we should do 4-hour radio shows anymore. And I don't. I know yesterday I was pretty long. I went about 2.5 hours, which was the long. I think it was 2.5 hours, which was the longest one I've done since I launched the YouTube show. I just think 4 hours is too long because you get repetitive and you start looking for things to kind of prop up and tee off on, because that's exciting radio. There's energy and there's like that good emotion, that anger, that reaction, that fire, and when you got 4 hours, you've almost got to do that. And I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying the way it is. I don't know why so many people who oppose the WBC have to go on these tirades and these rants about the WBC. Don't watch it. I don't get it. Anyway, so the attendance growth here, J-Rod, check this out. So in 2006, nominal growth to start, but I'm curious where this goes moving forward. 737,000 people on TV watching the games. 730, I rounded it up. 737,000. Then the next one, which was 2009, you went up to 801,000. So about a 60,000 uptick. Okay, nominal gain. There you go. Now in 2013, I don't know why, maybe different venues, smaller, I don't know why, but in 2013, it went down a little bit to 781, which was still 50,000 more than the first one. Yeah. But check this out. So you go from 781,000 in 2013 up to 973. So we're ticking towards 1 million in 2017. And then in 2023, it was 1.12. And then this year, so far it's been 1.37 million. So
there you go.
Yeah, so that's growth there. I don't know about the TV ratings. I'm watching tonight. I can't wait to see McClain pitch. I know McClain got knocked around a little bit by some who, when they talked about his last game, I thought he threw the ball very well. He just gave up a couple of home runs. But I've got full faith in McClain tonight. I think that the United States wins, and I'm excited about this. So I don't know. I understand that, not everybody is up to their necks in March Madness. Not everybody knows all the teams and all the conferences, and you're not going to get overly wrapped up in the Yankee spring training and the Mets spring training. And, if the NFL draft is kind of quieted down just a little bit post-combine, are you going to really go nuts at this point with 15 or 16 games to go in the NBA regular season? We're not yet at the Masters. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a bit of a treadmill of sports talk. There's not a ton to do. So, and I think I've always found this, that when people don't have a lot to say, the easy default is to just lambaste something. Like it's a natural, you know what I mean? It's a natural reaction. I love it. I've really come to enjoy it myself.
Yeah, no, I mean, WBC's fun, getting people into it. I just don't see. So the controversy is like what? Like people don't like it because it's not that serious. Oh, it's kind of fun. It's almost like they look at it like a Pro Bowl type thing, or like
I don't. No. It's not that. If anything, I think it's the opposite. I think there's two schools of thought here. I think some people, and this part I certainly understand. Like I was reading this morning before I came on the air. Mendoza was talking about McLean starting tonight. Great. And I'm excited for him. It's a different, it's a totally different monster. It's like unlike anything you've seen in the major leagues. But we're sitting here holding our breath and praying that he's okay. And we know what happened.
There we go.
I think some of it is certainly derived from that. And we all know what happened with Edwin Diaz a couple of years ago with the celebration with the knee injury, patella. I get it. Like, I see Aaron Judge uncork a throw from right field to gun down. Was that Tatis? I think it may have been Tatis. Whomever it was.
Third.
Yeah, at third, from fairly short right. I'm like, all right, do you really need to unleash 90 miles per hour before St. Paddy's Day? Which, by the way, happy St. Paddy's Day, everybody. Do you really need to do that? But he came out unscathed, and that's the price of business. And no, like I think that some of the criticisms, like for the NBA All-Star Game, whatever the hell the NFL does, the NHL All-Star Game, it's because it really doesn't replicate the competitive tone that these sports have during the regular season. This is the complete antithesis. If anything, it's jacked up.
Yeah.
There's so much patriotism and so much, love for everybody's country, and the different countries, the different ethnicities really approach this differently. Some people celebrate differently. There's just a different vibe depending upon the country. And nobody's complaining about that. It's like benign and boring and nobody's playing hard. I don't know. I just think that some people, number one, Jared, and as you get older, you're going to learn this, man. Unfortunately, it's a way of life. As you get older, if you haven't already learned this, that there are far too many people in this world who are predisposed to be negative, to be angry. Yeah, I mean, right? What's the fucking problem? It's incredibly competitive baseball. All the stars in the galaxy of Major League Baseball, basically all of them. You had Judge, you got Tatis, you had Soto, you got Guerrero, you got Ohtani. What's the problem? You got Skeens, you had Skubal for a minute, you got McLean tonight, and people are complaining about this. I think it's a gift from the baseball gods. It's phenomenal. I don't want it to end. I want to keep going. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm fired up today, J-Rod.
Yeah, no, gonna be a great game tonight. I'm excited to tune in.
This was interesting though. Now, before we get to the Soto comments,
yeah,
I think back to Judge's comments for a second. I think that, and this is really just either being. Some people might believe this, and if they really do, then I respect that. But I think a lot of the negativity, taking back on Judge's comments, I have no problem with what he said at all. Matter of fact, I agree with him. Because there is a difference. You got to remember, man, I was in the building in 1996 when the Yankees won their first championship since 1978. I was in the upper deck, as high as you could go, behind home plate with one of my best friends who I grew up with, who I played high school, a little bit of college ball. He wound up transferring, right? And we got there at 2 p.m, and we hit all the bars. The game didn't start till late. Nice. You can imagine what kind of shape we were in. We were in. It was ridiculous, right? And the clientele, the energy, now the stadium was built different. The overhang in right field, like you had that intimidating overhang. The acoustics were a little different. The tunnels were really tight. Like it's like you were walking into a mosh pit if you were the opposition. It really was intimidating. And back then, the price points, while they were certainly getting high for 1996, in retrospect, like the percentage of increase was not commensurate with what we have now. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not even close. So you basically had more blue-collar fans. You just did. So Judge is right. What I think some people took and then hijacked is that they are trying to equate what he said, which is not true at all, by the way. He didn't say that, where they're hijacking it. They're putting words in his mouth saying, wow, Aaron Judge basically believes that winning the WBC championship would be the same as winning a World Series for the Yankees. Does anybody really think that that's what Aaron Judge means? I mean, if you think that, then you're lost. I don't know what to tell you. How do you possibly extrapolate that? Let's get that back up on the board there, Jay, please. How do you take away that message from this? He was directly asked about the atmosphere, which is phenomenal at the WBC. Asked about it. Hey, Aaron, what is it like? Can you tell us what it's like being on the field with this WBC atmosphere and, how it maybe compares to Major League Baseball and maybe the World Series and some other stuff? Quote, I'll say it's been bigger. The World Series I was in versus the crowd here and the one we had against Mexico, it's bigger and better than the World Series. He's talking about the crowd, not necessarily the prestige or the honor or the ultimate achievement of winning the WBC versus maybe someday winning a World Series. By no means is he even remotely implying that. And if that's what you deduce from these words, I don't know what to tell you. Quote, the passion that these fans have representing their country, this is undeniable. Representing some of their favorite players, there's nothing like it. That's what you dream. He gets a little mushy here and again. I batting in the backyard, wiffle ball, thinking about this moment. No, but I know what he means. He's basically saying, because we all did this, and I would pretend that I was in the World Series. I obviously would. We all did that. Try to smack a tennis ball over the over the little fence in the wiffle ball. You take your buddy deep. You're trotting around the bases. You pretend you're Mattingly in the World Series, not the WBC. Big spot, though. That's the point. Big spot, big situation. It gives me chills right now thinking about how special that was. And I try to take that moment every game, look around, appreciate the crowd, and appreciate the moment. What the hell's wrong with that? And that is just one of the high characters, greatest players of all time, giving you an honest assessment about a pretty cool event. Enjoy it. Oh, J-Rod, listen, quick, long story short with BT time. You ready? We got to come up with a graphic for that. Then we got to get a graphic for that.
I'll click one up.
Maybe like a little violin,
a little
short stretch.
Yeah.
Nobody stretches out a short story like your boy. At least I own it. I know that. I do that. So this is funny. It's funny what triggers my mind at some of these vivid memories from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was talking about like hitting the ball over the fence, and obviously now as I got a little bit older, we would play on the street, and we had like the streets in Brooklyn are fairly narrow, and it's like car, yeah. Fairly modest house, not much driveway, house, right? So we would play long ways, which was great because then you had like the telephone pole, and that was only like two kids on the street, me and Tommy, who would hit it over. It was like self-hitting, and it was a shot, dude. You had to get it high and far, and but it was a bigger field, right? Then there was a little tiny field where we would just kind of almost manipulate the space, and now we were going. It's hard to describe, but we basically had two fields, right, on the same street. That's as we got older. When I was really young, before I had a lot of friends on the street, and I didn't really know anybody yet. Like 5 years old, whatever, 6. I remember. And my parents still have it, this massive walnut tree in the backyard. Massive walnut tree. I mean, it's got to be over 100 years old. Really, it's awesome. And I would take I started out by taking the walnuts and then like trying to throw them like I was Greg Nettles or Ozzie Smith at the tree, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I think that I can hit these things. So I started hitting them at like some of the houses behind me. I don't know what I was thinking. And then I discovered, let's see. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4 houses down. So I'm in my backyard, 4 houses down. There was this family, really nice. No kids my age, so I didn't really know them that well. And they had this old school, if you're like an Italian, Brooklyn, you could totally see this. It's like a metal overhang shed just so you can have like barbecue, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. And I would take these walnuts, dude, and I would fire them up in the air because I could easily reach four houses down.
Sure.
I would fire them up in the air I'm like, "Ew," and I would wait for the dude, the noise that it made.
Oh, when it hit the shed. Just
Oh
like the
my God. It sounded like World War III. I mean, it was boom. And they never knew where it was coming from. And then, of course, I would run and I would hide. Anyway,
That's so funny.
Dude, I just thought about that. Like, I think about now, right? It is funny because a lot of people complain, like kids today, they don't mix it up in the streets and they don't play like they used to, and everything's organized. And there's an element that's certainly true. And you got the horseshit phones and the stupid digital stuff. And luckily, we have a pretty good balance in our house and in our home. Both of our kids play a lot of sports, and my son got a phone for his 11th birthday, but he's not nuts with it. He's really not. We monitor it well, all that stuff. But it is kind of true where there's a lot of like you got to drop off. And when they were young, oh, let's have a play date. I remember my wife saying, so-and-so's coming over for a play date or he's got invited to a I'm like, play date? That just sounds play date. Say he's going over to his friend's house
to hang out.
Yeah, like I don't know. I wonder how I would react if I had a walnut tree in our yard now.
And someone was just bombing them onto a shed at your place?
No. Well, that's one. I was thinking the other. If my son was taking the walnuts and he located a house, 3 or 4 homes, and now the homes are bigger here and there's more space, whatever, more trees you could hide. It's easier to get away with stuff, I guess. But I wonder how I would react to that. I'd probably laugh.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing you get them in trouble for, but you're secretly proud of, I think.
Yes, I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree with that. Hey, we can't be doing that. Meanwhile, you're giving him a wink, giving him a little pat on the ass. At a boy. All right, let's get this up. Let me actually, yeah. Why would he say this? Why would Juan Soto say this? I'm not really sure why Juan Soto would say this. Quote, we showed the world who's the best team in baseball. That's all I got to say. End quote. You lost. You lost the game. I understand there were some bad calls. There's no doubt that the DR got hosed. I mean, that last one was 2.5 inches out of the zone. I get it. And, for the next WBC, there should be the ABS automated ball strike system, which will be good. And and there was some other calls too. I get it. That if the Dominican had their challenges, they could have utilized them at that point and things would have been reversed and maybe it's a different outcome. But nobody wants to hear that. I mean, you didn't win the game. You lost. Now, I will say I've never seen a lineup like that in my life. I mean, trotting out that murderer's row of killers. I don't know how the hell any pitcher, I mean, Skeens did it, how any pitcher navigates that and just doesn't give up bomb after bomb. I mean, it tells you how special Skeens is, really. And they set the WBC record for home runs. I get it. I love watching them play. They're phenomenal. That for Juan Soto. That's just I don't want to hear it. Like it's not, again, I'm not equating the two here, but if Aaron Judge, and I have to go back and really look at what Aaron Judge said. Like if Aaron Judge said, put that up there again, please. Can you do that, Jay? So no, not the Judge. I'm sorry, my bad. Yeah, thank you. Ooh, on point. Look at it hitting those buttons fast. So imagine now the Dominican Republic wasn't dropping pop-ups like the Yankees did in the World Series or failing to cover first base with Garrett Cole and blah, blah, blah. But imagine after the World Series, Aaron Judge is at his locker and they lost. They lost. So the Dodgers were crowned champions as they were. And Aaron Judge said, we showed the world who's the best team in baseball. That's all I got to say. End quote. I'm not saying that it's apples to apples because there really were no calls in that Yankees-Dodgers series where, as a Yankee fan, I look back and lament and say, Yankees got hosed. Yankees lost to a better team. Dodgers were better. Now, you can make the case, and I was old. I love Boom, but I crushed them the next day. That, going to Cortez was ridiculous in that spot. Giving up that moonshot granny to Freeman. What are we doing? But the Yankees were not better than the Dodgers, and the Dodgers won. Now, do I think that top to bottom, that the Dominican team is better than the United States team? I mean, you could very easily make that case, but it just seems petty when you actually say that when you lost. I think there's a better way to say it. And I also read that the Dominican team walked out without doing any interviews. Come on. I don't know. Maybe it's different because there's not like you're not playing for the Dodgers and the LA Times isn't waiting at your locker or the Yankees and the New York Post and those guys, right? Or, the Detroit Free Press or whatever it might be. Skubal pitches a playoff game for the Tigers and you got the Free Press waiting for you. I know that's why I say it's not apples to apples, but there's still probably a bit of a responsibility to express yourself to the media. I mean, I'm of the, what happened? Even if you complained about the calls, that's fine. You definitely had the right to do that because there were some shitty calls that went against the DR. I don't blame you. You pissed, but again, I didn't see this myself. All I read this part was that to a man, the Dominican team walked out and did not communicate with the media. And to me, that's a little small. If you want to feel the adulation when you're smacking 15 bombs, or I think even 16 they finished with, and establish a new WBC record for, home run prowess, don't you think you got to kind of stick around and take it on the other end if things don't go your way? Just thought it was a little bit petty. I didn't really like that. And, I'm not even looking to crush Soto. If anybody said that, if an American said that, and let's say, Team USA lost 5-4, and they're out there saying, we proved to the world we're the best team. Well, no, you didn't. You lost. Now, what I'm sure Soto's talking about is the overwhelming amount of run production. I mean, it was clear, like, their offense was second to none. Everybody knows that. But just, not the best look there. Not the best look there. J-Rod, you think that I don't think I'm being unfair. Do you think it's a I actually have more of an issue with what Soto said than with what Judge said.
Yeah, of course you. Yeah, because how can you lose? How can you lose and then say you're the best team? I mean, that just doesn't compute in any sort of, I don't know, kind of thing. Like, to me, it's just some sore losers.
It's petty. If you're going to flex and you're going to dance and you're going to just, do your thing, and trust me, their thing is impressive as hell. Well, there's another part of being a pro or, comporting yourself the right way, and that's a responsibility, even if it's just to the Dominican Republic, to your own people about what happened, bad call or, hey, tip the cap. And listen, I'm sure, when they see each other, batting practice, the season starts, like they bump it. Hey, that was a hell of a game. And I'm sure some of the American players, because I even saw that Armstrong said, yeah, I could see that was a couple of inches off and we got away with one. And I think he even said, I'm happy there was no ABS to go and challenge that because it probably would have been a ball. Like, again, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but I don't know. Is it emblematic? All right, maybe this is a bigger issue down the road because let's face it, as great as he is, and a lot of this, actually all of it really, predated Juan Soto's arrival with the Mets. There was a lot of whispers that it got louder and louder and louder that, the leadership and the chemistry was not great with the Mets. And that's why Stearns decided to blow it up and, not give Pete 5 years and get rid of Nimmo and change things around. I think Diaz was different, as I said. That was just a miscalculation on the Mets' part. I think they wanted him. I don't think they wanted Nimmo because they traded him, and I don't think they wanted Pete for those terms, and I agree with that. They knew they had to change things up. But, I'm just trying to think, like, how's that get that's going to kind of get hidden a little bit because it's the WBC and the Met fans, even the great Dominican Met fans, and there's a ton of them. Like, I don't think the Dominican Met fans, they're not going to use that against Soto as like from a Mets point of view, but like if Juan Soto and the Mets say they lose to the Phillies or they lose to the Braves or they lose in the World Series to whomever, and Juan Soto drops that quote, it's not going to be a pleasant reaction, if you lose. I mean, and you say that because you didn't prove anything. We know how great you are. We know how great your lineup is. We also know you lost. So take it on the chin, absorb the L, and keep it moving.
There we go.
You know what I'm saying?
That's it. You just got, come on. As I said before, you just got to Derek Jeter it, tip the cap, hit him with the little respect, a little RE2.
Yeah, I love that guy. At opening day breaks here, I was at the game. Not sure if they showed it on TV, but they showed the average fastball speed of pitchers versus DR compared to Skeens. Skeens was throwing 98, and they faced a lot of guys throwing under 90. Yeah, I mean, they have it up on the TV screen. I got you. I mean, well, I could tell you who wasn't throwing 90. That was the guy who started the game. That was Severino, who was hitting 99. He was touching 99, and they even made the observation. They're like, because they gave you the numbers, like what his average four-seam fastball was during like last year, and it was 3 miles per hour faster during the WBC. So, I mean, I don't know if that's accurate. I mean, I know he wasn't throwing 90. Some of the other guys, sure, and I think there's an advantage with the pitching. I think the Dominican lineup is second to none. I don't know that they've got the best pitching staff. Bednar definitely impressed there. Bednar's a guy who you look at him and you're like, God, do you fully trust this guy? And I do. He's proven that he can acclimate himself to New York, and he's one of these dudes. He's got to get used to it. He's going to be a tightrope kind of a guy. Like, he's not going to come out and mow you down. Here's strike one, strike two. I'm eating. You're not touching it. It's over. He's going to dance, even though he throws hard. He's going to walk a guy. He's going to give up a bloop. He's going to come back, strike somebody out. But I like his bulldog presence. Bednar, to me, was a guy who assimilated very well to New York, and you could tell, even though Devin Williams did respond nicely after an awful April, and I think he'll be fine for the Mets. Not as good as Diaz, but he'll be fine for the Mets. There's just certain guys going back to like Whitson and even Carl Pavano, just a couple of Japanese pitchers, certainly that you could tell right away they were a little bit overwhelmed by that New York stage. Nah, you don't get that from Bednar. So if he's out there tonight with a 1-run lead, do I think it's a 12-pitch, strike three, little broken bat, number bat? No, I think it's probably going to be a little dicey. But that's who he is, and that's generally how he gets the job done. All right, this guy gets the job done. This guy, and I take great pleasure in saying this because I've been doing this for a long time. There are certain people that you watch, there are certain people that you see, and they speak and they cover what they cover with such great joy and such great depth and precision. And it's a very unique combination. And then when you really meet them, you get to know them a little bit, you sense how humble they are and what they appreciate and how they appreciate what was before them. And I'm talking about my guest here, the great John Fanta, who is on Unleashed. We welcome Big Johnny Boy in, and he is that awesome combination of love for the game, and he's a humble young man, and he's earned everything he's gotten. And some people saying he's the next Dickie V. I'm saying he's the first John Fanta. John, welcome to Unleashed, brother. How you doing, man? What's cooking?
Brandon, it is great to be with you. Happy madness to you and everybody that's watching, listening out there, and best of luck as you fill out that bracket. I don't know about you. I'm assuming you're of this vein too. Do you just fill out one?
I do. This goes back. Remember? Do you remember the Mike and Mike on ESPN, the Sheets of Integrity? Do you remember that bit?
Yes, the Sheets of Integrity. Yes.
Yeah, where I think Golick would always try to do more than one. I like to do one because if I start doing more than one, I start contradicting everything that I think I know, John.
Correct.
What are we doing?
You just got to do one sheet, but that means a lot from you, and you're doing a fantastic job both with this show. I enjoy listening. People don't know I'm a huge baseball guy, so I'm excited for the season, and this has been, I'm pumped for tonight. But and can't wait to hear you this week. I think you can attest to this, better than anybody in the moment, is that there's really nothing like, the Big East tournament is special, the roar of the crowd. The feeling that you also get when you sit down in San Diego, and the NCAA, they've got a signature theme. They have a signature song that they play right before. It's been around for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Right before the tournament game, and they show images of people winning tournament games and championships. And when you sit down, you put that headset on to call the game. Just think, like, anytime you sit down and you're like, okay, here we go, knowing that the next 2 hours determines whether you stay alive, or whether you're flying home, it's really wild.
It's the best, John. Yeah, it's wild too. Obviously I'm older than you. You're just bursting on the scene. Seton Hall grad, by the way. Shout out to the Pirates there. A lot of respect for Shaheen Holloway, what they're doing. I got a couple of questions about them after, but yeah. The first year that I ever did St. John's was 2003, 2004.
Wow.
My first year was when Mike Jarvis got fired during the season, which really never happened in the Big East. Coaches never got fired during the season, ever, right?
No.
So I remember we went to Duke, and Mike was still coaching, and I think he got fired maybe a week or so, but they got destroyed. And that first year, they went 6-21. And that was my first year. Now, I was watching Mullen and that Final Four team, so I don't take it for granted. Like, all I wanted was to call an NCAA tournament game, but I finally got that. What was that, in 2015, I guess it would have been, against San Diego State down in Charlotte, and they lost. So it's been a great ride. It's been a lot of fun. And, I don't understand. I need you here. And I'm not going to whine about it because, hey, integrity and toughness and defense, get on the plane, go to San Diego and shut up everybody who said that you got hosed with a bad seed. But why are they going out to San Diego? Why is this happening, John? What happened here, John?
Well, it's interesting. There's a couple of things to unpack. And so number one is when you looked at the bracket and you looked at the potential of movement, there wasn't a lot of great chances for St. John's to move up in the bracket, despite the fact that they were winning and that they've won 19 of 20. We'll get to that in a second. But like when I looked at last week, when the week began, I'm like, all right, Kansas is probably on the 4 line. So is Nebraska. The committee's not going to move Nebraska at this point, regardless of what happens, just based on their body of work and the start to the season they got off to. Arkansas could move. They could move up. They could move down. Of course, John Calipari had to, indirectly, he wasn't trying to, but indirectly it impacts Rick Pitino and St. John's that Arkansas wins the SEC tournament and that they are the 4 seed. For a second, I thought we'd get an Arkansas-St. John's rematch. You imagine that in the second round. And then Alabama. And Alabama, to me, that's probably the one that I would say St. John's had an opportunity to get over Alabama. Why? Okay. Alabama is below St. John's in the metric that the selection committee said mattered more now. The WAB, the WAB. And if you go, folks, the WAB is wins above bubble, meaning your total wins above what the average bubble is. St. John's is ahead of Alabama in that. Oh, wait a minute. St. John's is ahead of Kansas in that metric. So committee, this team's won 19 of 20. They're ahead of those teams. I'm not giving opinion here. We're stating fact.
I agree.
And you did not put them in or above them on the 4 line. Okay, well, let's keep looking. Okay, KenPom. St. John's is ahead of both Alabama and Kansas. They're even ahead of Texas Tech. So I think that when you look at the different items, there are legitimate numbers, Brandon, that say St. John's is ahead of these teams in them, but committee, you didn't put them there because why? Because you were watching marquee games in November and December, and I'm not blaming you for it. But you then, I think, sometimes let certain narratives carry how you think about a team. And the fact is, this St. John's team would beat Auburn. They would beat Kentucky right now. They didn't, though. I credit them for scheduling. If they hadn't scheduled, they're probably a 6.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. 100%.
But this is why you schedule. I just think there should be more reward. We often say there's no harm when you lose to a big dog in November and December. And I feel like the committee did harm them with where they put them.
That's interesting. Now, we both know if the Big East was better, you would have had more opportunities to get more quad ones, blah, blah, blah. We don't need to, bore everybody with that. We know that the Big East is down. There's been some people, John, I can't prove this, but obviously there's history. You think it's personal with Rick where they're like, you know what? We're going to ship him out, even though they got the 2 seed last year, so it wasn't personal there. We're going to ship him out to San Diego so no St. John's fans could go. We're going to give him a tough matchup with Kansas and Duke and UConn. Like, that's a brutal region. You think they've got a personal agenda against Rick?
Look, I'm sure that some people do. We know for a fact that some people probably do. I mean, that's not,
Well, then they shouldn't be in the committee room, John. Then that's horrible.
Yeah, in the words of Ed Cooley, Stevie Wonder could see that. There's got to be some people who just are not for Rick Pitino.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't impact, like, this impacts players. This impacts the school. I thought it was a really difficult draw, but if there's anybody who can get his dudes playing hard and showing people why they're wrong, it's Ricky P.
I'm with you.
He's got this group saying they don't think anything of you. They think you're going to lose. They gave this to Kansas so that Kansas has the advantage. And Brandon, I will say this, okay? San Diego may stink, but you know what would not stink? Being in Washington, D.C. in the second weekend and having St. John's fans have the opportunity to travel down. And let me tell you, I'm going to tell you a very, very quick story here. I went to Chicago for Providence, Kansas in the Sweet 16. This is now 4 years ago. Brandon, I got into Chicago. I thought Kansas fans would have 70% of the building. Providence fans made up at least 50%. And there were Kansas fans turning to me saying, we don't battle with fan bases like this. In other words, if it's Duke and St. John's, I think a lot of people are going to be like, Duke, they'll have the advantage. But St. John's fans have the hunger factor.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to fill up Capital One, and could have them. New York City will be in Washington D.C. and I think that's where St. John's will be because I got them beating Kansas in the second round.
Attaboy,
Northern Iowa.
Attaboy, Fanta. I know you do and now you could branch this out without going like nuts with every game. Just more of I'm curious how you do this because I was watching some video and you filled out the entire bracket in 13 minutes. All right. And, listen, this stuff like the back of your hand, but there are certain schools like, you probably have to do a little research, but in 13 minutes, you don't. So as you're clicking and pecking away and advancing teams and bouncing teams, is it just the first thing you think of? Like, is it all gut? Is it all knowledge? Is it part gut? 13 minutes is kind of quick for I do this, but I also do general sports talk. You are known as one of the college basketball guys. So you want to get this right. 13 minutes is quick, bro.
More about delivery. Like I like to break things down a little bit more in depth. You just have to go. And, what I didn't realize is that was off the cuff. I said to one of our producers, I said, why don't we try this? I saw someone do this in like 10-ish minutes and it did really, really well. And, you don't always, like we speak our minds, we say what we think, but like for that, like I wasn't able to speak my mind a whole lot. We just filled out a bracket and it just goes to show you why this tournament is the best. People don't know everything about Santa Clara. They don't know everything about South Florida. They don't know everything about High Point. They certainly don't know everything about Northern Iowa. But what they do know is that those types of schools have come up big. And that there is, to the people out there who say an upset will never happen again or those days are over, is it harder? Yes. Yes, it is. The difference in between the top and the mid-major is large, and money has a lot to do with that. But BT, it's basketball. It's similar. Like football, college football can't have this. The games in the trenches, they're decided. An offensive lineman is 100 pounds bigger than a defensive lineman for even a Tulane. It's
I know what you're saying.
Ballpark.
Yeah.
In basketball, it's make or miss. And so how did I do it? You look at consistencies of some teams. Kentucky's been inconsistent all year. Santa Clara knows we're going to slow down or take away. We're going to make other people beat us. And Kentucky's a little bit soft down low.
I know they are.
So guess what? Santa Clara's got a guard in Christian Hammond who's playing at a very high level. Elijah Mahi is a senior who does a lot of different things for them. And I said, I think the Broncos can do it with Coach Sendek. I think he's an excellent coach. USF. Louisville's had a roller coaster ride. Mikel Brown, I don't know what they're going to get from him. I don't know. And that's the other side. You know why upsets will happen? Because some of these teams got some players who either won, even on good teams, are auditioning for other teams for next year. Or St. John's fans know a thing or two about last year at the end. Okay, there were some issues there. We all know them with RJ Lewis. Or they got locker room issues. We can't forecast that. I don't know what's going on in all those. Louisville's had a roller coaster ride of a season. You know who's not having a roller coaster ride? The South Florida Bulls. They score, they run. They're going to beat Louisville.
Okay, that's a good prediction right there. Where are you going? Are you traveling? What are you going to be doing?
I'm going to watch. I've done it all different ways. I've flown to the site. It's been fun to do it. I love doing it. Brandon, what I do find is when you're observing the sport nationally and you go to one site, you can't accurately talk about other teams that are playing. If you do, you're looking at a box score.
I agree with that.
Real.
Yeah.
I'm just being real. So what I will do is in my world, NBC does not have the rights to the tournament. Obviously, it's CBS and Turner. So I'm going to watch from afar, get some family time. It's funny because like a lot of the CBS Turner guys, Turner had more Big East games this year, but a couple of them, they don't have the regular season weeknights that some of like the ESPN, FS1, NBC Peacock people do. So for us, the tournament is actually a chance to, like the first week is a chance to catch our breath because we just got done with the championship. And I never really want to, but I will watch from afar and check things out. And then next week, TBD. And then I always go to Indianapolis and I'll be at the Final Four.
This is one of the things that I love about you. So, and I have a question how you do it. I think it's very interesting. So those of you who watch John, follow John, and many of you do, the way you wrap up, it's pretty cool. Like you see a blank court, and then all of a sudden you see John mosey on into the court, and you don't just give about a 30-minute take on what went down. You do about a 3-minute essay. And I'm curious because I've got my method. Like I'm somebody, just give me 1 or 2 words. I'll write them down. That transforms a thought, which becomes a paragraph, which becomes a segment. How do you do that? I think it's a lot harder than people think. You very rarely stumble, and it's very cohesive, and it's very organized. How do you do that? That's pretty good, dude.
God-given talent. I truly believe in my faith, and it is a God-given talent. And you've got to prepare. You've got to watch. And I think there's a humility aspect, Brandon. Like, look, somebody once told me, you can't. There's one Iron Eagle. All right, there's one Iron Eagle. He does a fantastic job. He is a legend. One of my really good friends is Noah Eagle. Who's at NBC. There's one Noah Eagle, and Noah's outstanding at his craft. There's one Mike Tirico. There was one Marv Albert. You have to be comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
And so for me, in that moment, it starts from, I could think of the age of 5 or 6, and you struck a chord with me because I can remember sitting, at St. Patrick's Day parties in Cleveland.
Okay.
It's a huge deal in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Town shuts down.
Yeah.
There's a rich Irish Catholic.
Love it.
I can remember sitting at family parties while everybody's drinking Guinness, and I'm like 6 or 7, and the tournament's on. I remember St. Patrick's Day, I don't know, 07 or so, Mike Conley and Ron Lewis. Lewis has been awesome. Let's it go. Takes it home. Our buddy Gus. And it was Ohio State Xavier. Remember that tournament game in Lexington?
Oh yeah, Ohio State was terrific for many years at that point. Yeah.
Which shout out to Thad Matta. We wish him the best in retirement. It's he's had a great career, and for Butler, it's good for them. But like I can remember growing up and watching, digesting. When you say you appreciate the history, like that's my childhood. So you hearken back to that now at your age.
Yeah.
But like, how do I deliver it? I take a step back and I say, don't just analyze the game, provide perspective of what it means. And so the other night, what I thought of was, it impressed me to this day that when we were walking into Rick Pitino's opening press conference, that a guy that had accomplished the degree that Lou Carter II accomplished was by himself in the front row, the first person that was in the room for that guy to get introduced, fully knowing that the marks that he had accomplished were about to be matched with what Rick would accomplish.
Yep.
And he that says you love the place.
Mm-hmm.
Lou loves St. John's. So I wanted to make sure that people knew, like, this was written in the stars, and now it's reality.
There you go. There you go. And I heard you talk about that, where what you just said about when you walked in, you did see Lou and you incorporated that to the. Is it an essay? Do we call it? Is that an essay?
Yeah,
okay.
It's an essay, and there's no prompter. I don't use a teleprompter. I rarely use it when I'm in. I helped out NBC with some college football over the fall. I rarely use it when I'm in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use a shot sheet just to be able to follow different shots. But that is growing up in Cleveland. You'll appreciate this. Look, I've got it right here. The voice of the Cavaliers was a guy by the name of Joe Tate, who would say, wham, with the right hand with LeBron James. Tom Hamilton's the voice of the Guardians. You as a Yankee fan know a little bit, like Hammy is if you're ever driving a car, just listen to a Guardians game, a Tribe game. They'll always be the Tribe to me. Listen to a game on the radio on Sirius, and you'll hear Tom Hamilton. And then Jim Donovan, who we lost a few years back. Jimmy is the voice of the Browns. Those guys, they didn't use prompters. They didn't use scripts. They used passion.
Yeah.
That's what people want, passion.
Yeah. Yes, they do. I almost feel, though, John, and you graduated Seton Hall in what, 2017?
Yeah.
17, right? Okay.
17, yep.
Okay, so you've obviously been doing this for a little bit. You're not just starting. You're definitely, you're more on the younger side for sure. And that's a great thing because the tarmac, there's a lot of miles for you to cover, man. I'm really excited to see where you go. Any pressure, though, to, whatever you say, whatever call, a great punctuation or a stumble, it's going to be all over social media. And those guys you just mentioned, and not to mention the Marvs and the other ones, even Ian when he was coming up, they didn't have to worry about that. Like they weren't going to get mocked, even though a lot of people really do like you and try to elevate you. If you had a really bad moment, that people are going to clown you. Is that part of, do you ever think about that?
Well, you do because it's reality. You'd be lying if you said that you didn't. But you got to listen to your bosses, and you got to listen to your audience too. You know, I often talk to my friends and family. I'm like, how'd that come off? What'd you think? What'd you think? And you know, Brandon, they'll be honest with you.
Yes.
You're real friends and people close to you. They'll be honest with you on things. I've been very fortunate to have some people who have given me real-time feedback that hired me. It helps when you're younger and you're just getting your start, and you got to be receptive to it. You know, I still am to this day. And recently called an NBA game for the first time, and that was a privilege and something I was very humbled to do. And I have no problem saying it to you on your show. Before the game, there's some coaching happening. Hey, you have not called an NBA regular season game, here. This is what we would like. This is what we're looking for. Brandon, that's okay. Like,
yeah,
I want to get told. I work for, and I want to give NBC Sports credit, because not every place is willing to tell their people, like, this is what we're looking for. If they don't say anything, what is it? They don't care. That means they don't care, or and they do. I love working for them because they are awesome with the feedback and the thought process, and it's helped make me better. It helps make me better. But in terms of the noise, nobody's perfect. You try your best, but you're never going to have, like, you keep doing shows, you keep doing different things, because you can always strive to raise the bar of what we're doing. That's kind of the fun of doing this as a job, is you rarely feel like you pitch the perfect game. You look at different ways that you can continue to get better. So I've been a couple weeks ago. You might have seen it, you might not have. I'm not gonna get into it.
Oh, wait, is this the St. John's thing where you exploded on the guy? Is that the thing when you had that back?
No, I was actually going to bring something else up. So,
good. We'll get back.
That did happen a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
I made an announcement, on a partnership that I'm doing, and I'm very proud to be doing that partnership. Okay. And people that don't agree with it, what happens? They go crazy. You've gotten the negative tweets when you announce something or do something, and or you say something about a team. And then the first 60 replies are hater, you stink, whatever it is. And sometimes it's a lot more vulgar than that.
I wish it was that basic or that benign. When that
You're right.
in.
It's not. It's not.
Yeah.
But you can't let that. You gotta just you gotta live your life, and you gotta understand, like, what you're doing is for your family. It's also, to better yourself. And so it's a long answer to your question, because it's a great question. I try to get better every single day. You have to have the humility that says, I'm not Bob Costas, I'm not Marv Albert, I'm not Al Michaels. I just got to be on this Fanta train, and just keep the stops going.
That a boy. How do you juggle fatherhood? With
an unbelievable wife.
Yeah,
first
that's a good
off.
start. Okay.
So my wife Vicky she's downstairs with the baby as we speak, and we're juggling it as best we can. I try to shut down when I'm not with him. One of the things that I did, and my first career opportunity was with Fox, and I loved working for them. They were great people. From Steve Shear, who and Bardia Shaw Reyes and Jordy Wimmer and Brad Zager and Jordan Bazan. That whole group was great to work with. But I was writing as well for them.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, Brandon. I couldn't keep doing it. I couldn't keep doing the on air. And if I was writing right now, there just wouldn't be enough hours in the day. I respect writers, the hell out of them. I really do. They work tirelessly to deliver engaging stories and getting anecdotes from coaches and players on things. St. John's has a terrific beat of people who do that. That's for sure. But I couldn't juggle it all. So I took a step back. NBC, Sam Flood and Rick Cordella and company, they were so good about, like, okay, we want to bring you in for this. And I didn't have to continue the writing. So, when I get done with a couple of these on-air things, I'm going to spend some time with my kid, because I've been gone for the last 2 or 3 weeks from championship week and whatnot. So for us, as you know, sometimes there is a weekday during the spring or summertime when that's like our weekend because there's so many sporting events on the weekends that we're consumed with. So you juggle it to the best of your abilities, but you have to have an understanding wife. But I love my son. He came to the Big East tournament. My son's name is Andrew. And, he just is, he's the absolute best, and it changes perspective on life. There's nothing better than being a dad.
That's the truth. How old's Andrew? Is he 2 or not even yet?
Andrew is 10 months old.
Oh my God, man, I missed that age, bro. You know what's crazy about that age too? And it goes fast. My son's 11, my daughter's 9, right? And I actually think that's why I asked you how you juggle in fatherhood. At this point, it's easy for you because there's only so much a dad, even the most proactive dad, can do when a baby's that little. You can get up in the middle of the night and support your wife and change the diapers. I don't know if she breastfeeds and I don't need to know, but like there's just certain things we can't do, Where the real juggle comes and it gets tough is when they start playing games. That's where you're like, all right, I want to be at practice. And I've had a schedule that's afforded to me. I coach, not every team they're on, but I coach a lot of them. That's to me, that's the like you have to be a magician to hit that perfect balance of being there, sitting in the chair, watching that first T-ball game, or coaching on third base, or sitting in the stands for that first foul shot, and also being as immersed as I know you want to and will be as you continue to grow in this business. That's going to be the tough part. And not now. It's coming, though.
Oh, it's coming. And how you encounter that challenge, you rely on the people closest to you. And I'll ask those people for different forms of advice. And what would you do? I'll give you the very real story. When I got hired by NBC, they're like, hey, we want to bring you in for college football. You're going to be doing game breaks. And Brandon, I had not done college football. I'm a college football fan. We're sports fans. We could dive into I know you enough to say that if someone called you and said, hey, we need you on the Olympics and you're going to be doing downhill skiing, the two of us would say, all right, we'll figure it out to the best of our ability.
We'll figure it out, man.
We'll figure it out. Crap, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll find a way.
So, I knew enough about college football, obviously, but like my point is, one of the first things I said back to them is, hey, I can work every Saturday. We booked my son's baptism for this Saturday, though. I feel bad. I just signed with you. And they're like, are you kidding? They said, you're being serious, right? I go, yeah. They go, your son comes first.
There you go.
Your family comes first. That's, you hope, you have to pick, but as you got to pick your spots. You have to be as judicious as possible and pick your spots. There's holidays when you wish you could be there, something, and I'm not talking about Christmas, but I'm talking about Mother's Day. I'm talking about, different things that come up. So
I know.
You bet that's the work-life balance of our industry. And hopefully it comes with enough reward that your kids can come to a big game or can see the Garden here or there. So
exactly. Well, the things that we miss, and I thankfully I don't miss anything, especially now because I'm sitting in my home doing this. But even all the years, the national stuff with Tiki, the WFAN, living in San Francisco, like everything I've done, I've been very lucky where, for some amazing grace of God, I'm done by like 3:00, 3:30. Kids are off the bus. Kids are home. All right, get to practice. Let's go, coach, and all that stuff. I haven't missed anything. And there's nothing, John. There's nothing like it. Like when you see their first basket, dude, or their first hit. I remember, my son's probably more, he's very serious. Sometimes he's too serious. I'm like, dude, calm down. You just turned 11. It's not game 7 of the World Series. Relax.
That's how I was, though.
Me too. I get it. Whereas with my daughter, she's 9 and she stopped doing it this year. But last year she scored a basket with doing, cartwheels down the court. It's totally different. Those things are amazing. But if you do miss something, the ability to say, hey, Andrew, I'd like you to meet Coach Pitino or whomever it is, 5, 6, 7 years from now when he's old enough to really know what's going on. You get to give them things that the average dad can't give them, even if you have to miss a couple things along the way. So that's the trade-off, man.
That's life. And, I had the reality of, and your show is real. I got a phone call on a Tuesday or on a Monday morning 2 years ago that my dad had passed away at the age of 56.
Wow.
And
oh man, I'm sorry.
No.
I didn't know that like that. Okay.
No. And it was
56.
God has a way of doing things because Brandon, I ironically, I didn't have any games that week. It was so weird because when I was looking at my schedule, I'm like, this is odd. Normally, Wednesday or there's at least a game. It could be a women's game. It could be something.
Sure.
It wasn't anything that week. And so, but I learned so much from my dad. My dad was a business owner in Northeast Ohio. I love the stuff with you and your dad, on your last show at FAN. That's what matters more than any show, any game. And I had no regrets. My father was a great man. He taught me how to work hard and taught me how to be kind to people, no matter who you encountered. He was the same way with the janitor as he was with the executive.
Yes.
And so then when the gift of my son comes last May, I just thought, this is the full circle of life. In a year and a half, I've experienced one ending, and you can dwell on it, or you can do what your dad would want. And he would want me to live and be the best father to my son. And he's looking down. There's no question he's looking down. But that then puts perspective into how you are as a parent, because nothing is promised, nothing is given, and we have to live each day, with the utmost. Just you gotta live each day like it's your last in terms of how you go about it. So I never try to go to bed angry, but that's something that's part of my journey too. Of like, I look at that, I look at how life changed in one phone call. Got to fly home to Cleveland. No other game mattered. No other thing mattered.
Wow,
and that's where your family means everything.
Did he have a heart attack? It was sudden?
He had a heart attack. He owned his own business. Yep. And he had a heart attack and gone at 56. He had his own business, and he worked himself very hard. I could not do what he was doing, metal plating and finishing. And it's a great example too. And I say this to people, get yourself checked out and look at things and, take care of yourself, because it's important, folks, especially in these times when life is chaotic and whatnot. And, if you always say like, if he had gotten checked out maybe a week prior, maybe they fixed some of the issues, but I saw a lot through my dad. I saw how hard he worked. I saw the kind of person he was. He was a recovered alcoholic. He did recover. Wow. He did recover.
Yep.
Now, did that hurt his health? Of course it did. It's a terrible thing. But I saw him make it through that battle. And that taught me a lot too, of how you have to fight through. None of us are perfect. And who of us is, if somebody comes with me and says, hey, I went through this, I will say, BT, like, I've seen a lot in the first 30 years to say, hey, this happens. And guess what? Maybe I haven't lived your exact scenario, but I get it. I get where you're coming from. I think that builds humility of like, life, everybody's got a different cross, a different burden that they deal with in life, and whether or not you relate to it, but at least you can understand that people deal with that. So that was something that I dealt with, but I live my life for my dad every day.
I can tell that you're religious. I could tell. I could just tell, right?
You have to have faith.
Yep, no question about it.
And if you don't, that's okay. I'm not here to be like, I'm not here to come on and be a preacher. I'm just saying, if you don't have your faith, then what? It's kind of why the Big East has been a match for me too, because of all these Catholic schools.
Yes. Oh, I'm with you. By the way, Catholic school myself, 1st through 8th grade. Catholic school back then, this is a while ago, had nuns. Then I went to a Jesuit high school, so I get it, man.
Jesuit high school here too, Ignatius.
Not St. Ignatius,
Ignatius in Cleveland, yeah.
St. Ignatius. There you
First
go.
Met game I ever went to. First Met game I ever went to. There's a guy down the third baseline holding a rosary. I'm just like, okay,
What?
I can, being a Clevelander, I can relate with these people a little bit. Like, I came into the metropolitan area for college in 13.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody win a title yet. I'm just waiting for.
I haven't seen anybody hold a rosary bead since my grandma. I mean, that's been a minute, John. Usually the old Italians would hold the rosary beads. You said a guy was holding it in the state. Hey, do what you got to do.
There's going to be Knicks fans. Knicks fans with rosaries this spring.
Knicks aren't winning anything this year. They're not winning the championship. They just not. But I have one serious question for you on the heels of what we were just discussing. Do you feel not a responsibility? Are you comfortable talking about religion outwardly? Because a lot of people aren't, and they suppress it. And when they do try to speak, I don't mean shoving it down people's throat. I know you're not that kind of guy. Neither am I. But I believe what I believe. I espouse it more as I've gotten older. It's become more, even though it's been a part of my whole life, I got away from it a little bit. My wife pulled me back in. She's a Dallas, Texas girl. Christianity strong. It means a lot to me. I pray more than I used to. Do I love going to church? Yeah, probably not. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I'd rather probably sit on the couch on a Sunday if I have an hour, but we go a little bit more than we used to. Are you comfortable projecting that, knowing that you have a prominent role and voice in sports? Do you do that a little bit?
I probably don't do it enough, and I don't get asked about it. But yeah, I believe in my faith, and I don't believe that just because you go to church on Sunday that makes you a great or not great human being.
I agree.
I do get to church, but some of the people who will go, and we all know somebody. I mean, I do. I'm not throwing stones at glass houses, but you know somebody who goes, and then they, during the week from Monday to Saturday, they're not a positive person towards other people. And then you say, wait a minute, but then you go. So does that justify, like, is your way of justifying for that you go into church on Sunday? I don't, I think religion's different for everybody, but I believe in a higher power. And I believe in there are things that have happened on this journey that coincidence doesn't explain how and why and where and what happened. When my dad passed away, we were at the church, the outpouring of flowers. See, because it was in the middle of the season of college basketball season, Brandon, coaches and administrators and people who are very good friends of mine could not make it because they had game days. St. John's was playing Connecticut that Saturday, and I was supposed to be at the Garden for that game, and it just didn't happen. And it was a noon game, huge game at the Garden.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah,
you did it, and
yeah.
A couple years back.
Yeah.
And, I remember being in the back of the church ahead of the mass, and the funeral home director came out, and now we're in Cleveland. Funeral home director came up to me and said, "Hey, we just had one more set of flowers get delivered. Are you okay with us putting them on the altar?" And I said, "Of course. Absolutely." And, I said, "Well, where are they from?" And this was at, 10 o'clock funeral mass, and UConn St. John's was at noon. And the funeral director looked back at me, and St. John's had sent prior that week. Funeral director looked back at me and said, "The card says here, Coach Hurley and UConn men's basketball."
Yeah.
And I'm like, that moment, it was like, life will never be the same when you lose your parent, but that there's people out there who are supportive and who understand. And the only thing they could do there was that. But that resonated with me of like, that's Dad's way of saying, remember, keep doing what you're doing, because people they enjoy that, and you've got to keep going here. You do have to get. I called the game that following week. I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't make it the story. I just kind of did the job, and it was good for me to get back into the rotation of things. But
sure,
I don't talk outwardly a ton about faith because it feels like people have all different feelings about it. But if asked about it, I will say this. Yes, I believe in God. I rely on my faith to help me through ups and downs of life. And I understand that, man, I am not perfect. And guess what? I can get fired up, or have a tough day at home too, where I'm like, hey, where are we going? I got work, I got life.
Yeah, man, you're a human being, man.
So we're human beings. And so I say to myself, if I don't have God to look up to and say, please help me, please help me in this time, then who am I going to go to?
I'm with you, dude. So I do know. I do know what you mean.
I don't know where I'd be.
It's and it's hard to do that, like where, as the provider, especially when I lost my job, right? And for some reason at the Fan, it was very natural and easy for me to make this transition. I don't mean like I'm not saying the show's great. I mean to just move on with my life and just plow ahead. There was like a calm, right? But I think when I was younger, it was hard. Like, I felt like I had to control everything. Like,
yes,
you don't control anything. Like, you can control your work ethic and how you treat people and how engaged you are and how, immersed you are in the job and what following up with emails and calls and being ready from A to Z, calling a game and doing a show and having notes and being buttoned up. But there's just certain things you can't control. And it's crazy, John. Like, when you learn that, I think there's a piece. And it seems like you learned it at an earlier age than I did. So good for you figuring this out quicker than me, man. I'm almost envious of you. Good job, dude.
Well, you know what? A mentor by the name of Rick Gentile, who produced the Olympics for a number of years for CBS Sports, Rick said to me, John, you got to remember something. I was picked over someone for an FS1 assignment that I was hoping for. I didn't get it. And he said, you got to remember something. Only one person is the TV play-by-play announcer on a game. The same way that only one person is the head coach of that basketball team for a game. The same way that one person is the only one that is producing the game, the color analyst on the game. Yes, there are other people who would love to have that job. And he said, someday you'll probably hear your name called for that job. But how you handle the, quote, defeat is what people will really appreciate. And so Brandon, like there's times where, I was calling something that probably, 1,000 people were watching on television as opposed to 400,000. You don't treat the job any differently. You do your job the way that you've been taught to do your job. You don't look at viewership. Of course, we all want to call. Everybody wants to call the Super Bowl. If we talk to 50 high school kids right now, and I said, "How many of you would want to call the Super Bowl one day?" I would assume,
raise the hand. Everybody.
But you have to realize there's only one Mike Tirico.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, there was a time when Mike was like 6th or 7th on the roster. And you gotta. Someone said to me once, a guy by the name of Bardia Shah Reyes at Fox said, "You have to know where you are on the ladder. Understand that you're just not going to get the assignment that a Gus Johnson gets.
You're not there yet.
You're not there yet
at that point. Sure.
But you deliver because if you don't deliver the best at where you are on the ladder,
yeah,
you can easily get removed from that ladder because there's a bunch of other people who would like it. So I think that in the journey, knowing there's only one guy who gets that call. And if you ever do get that call, that's a privilege.
There you go.
Privilege to get that call. At the end of the day,
yeah,
you and Mink, it's
yes.
I look at it from my vantage point. I say it is a privilege to call an NCAA tournament game.
I agree with that.
I don't care who you're calling it.
I agree. It's an honor. I can't wait. It means the world to me. Let me ask you this. So, 9-year-old, 10-year-old John Fanta, Ohio. I mean, I know you played sport. Were you a decent athlete, or were you always like calling the games? Like, could you play anything?
Yeah.
Anything?
Okay, so I once had a 28-point game in grade school. Yeah.
Yeah. What, CYO? Like, what grade are we talking about?
8th grade, last game at St. Bernadette's gym. Yes.
Wow.
So hopefully there's some college classmate in your chat that can attest to this, and if not, I'm going to make them get in. But I could shoot the ball. I could play some hoops.
Fanta.
When I was, we're not talking about like intramurals and all that, like CYO and. I played high school football. I played it for 2 years. I was a left guard. I was a turnstile as a left guard. Think of your worst. Who's the Giants' offensive lineman?
I was going to say, but actually, the Jets' O-line is actually pretty good now.
Yeah, but who was the O-lineman that got like 3 penalties?
How about Evan Neal? Yeah, back to start the game. That first, I think that was it, but that may have been against the Saints. I think it was like 3 in a row to start the game. Guy. So you were that guy.
My quarterbacks needed Saints to help protect him when I was in the game, because the fact of the matter is this: when I was in the game, I got called for back-to-back holding penalties, and I said to my offensive line coach, "Do you want me to come out?" And he goes, "No, I want to see how long you survive."
It's good.
So
did you take it serious? Like, were you in the weight room? You were diligent, right? Yeah.
No, locked in. I mean, look, I just wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And then baseball, I pitched till about 8th grade. Okay. I pitched during a time like when I was in 4th, 5th, 6th grade, when pitching is starting to become a thing, when the coach pitch goes away.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was very valuable to my team because Brandon. Because you and I are watching baseball growing up, I realized it's not about velocity. Just find the strike zone.
You got to throw strikes, man. You gotta.
So I did. And so at that age, and then when things started to get serious and I wasn't able to get into that number, people started to tee off, and that was the end of that. But yeah, I did play a little bit of sports. And then after my sophomore year of football, I said, you know what, I'm going to go for this play-by-play job at Ignatius. St. Ignatius has a great broadcasting network. It's dozens and dozens of kids. I felt like I was in a quarterback competition. I felt like I was in a quarterback competition trying to get the play-by-play job for football. And with three other students in my high school. We were at Fawcett Stadium, the home of the Pro Football Hall. Ignatius was scrimmaging at a school called Canton McKinley. And each of the candidates got a quarter. You get 1 quarter to show off your skills.
Wow.
Got the call that Monday. You won the job. I called the state championship game. I went from the bench to the broadcast booth and got to call the state championship game.
That's sick, dude. That's kind, and you won the game too. That's kind. Wait. So but you didn't get a ring. If you were still on the team, even if you were horrendous, you would have got a ring.
They gave me a ring.
They gave you one. So that's kind of like, I'm sensing a little like when Tony Romo transitioned. He still knew the league so well because he had just played. You had all the intel on the team, so it probably gave you an advantage because you were playing.
Big advantage.
No question.
You're absolutely right, and that kind of helped me get started. You know, it was like by being the end of bench kid, was able to just take that and try for football.
So let's say Johnny Fanta's in the car, kisses the wife, kisses a little boy Andrew on the cheek. All right, Daddy's got to go to work, and you're not flying. You're driving. You got a 5-hour drive, and rather than fly, you're driving. What kind of music is John listening to? What are you pumping?
Billy Joel.
My favorite. I love it.
Yep. I love there's different Joel songs I love. Matter of Trust.
Phenomenal.
Stiletto.
I like Stiletto. Not one of my favorites, but Billy's my all-time favorite artist.
But then all of the hits. I mean, State of Mind.
Of course. Yeah.
And Moving Out and My Life.
There you go. Big shot.
I've seen Joel 4 or 5 times. I hope he comes back.
Yeah, I think it was I thought I read something from his daughter, a quote from his daughter the other day that he had some sort of procedure, and she was saying he was doing well. I hope he's okay. I'll tell you a really, all the stuff with Billy like in the 70s, way before your time, even though you just mentioned a bunch of the songs. I think that to me, when he got to River of Dreams, I'm like, I'm not really feeling that stuff.
I like River of Dreams as a song, but not the whole thing.
I don't even really love this song. It's just to me, it's a little doo-woppy, which Billy obviously has. That was his inspiration. But to me, Downeaster Alexa, you're talking Stormfront, like you're talking some of that stuff after, Glass Houses. I think that's some of his best work. And the crazy thing, did you see the Billy Joel? Was it on Netflix or Apple? Okay, okay.
Absolutely. By the way, Don't Ask Me Why, another one.
Phenomenal. Don't ask me why. So the crazy thing about that, he was broke. His manager stole $30 million from him. It's one thing to try to pump out a great song when you just try to be a great musician. It's another thing when you've got to construct songs because you're piss poor broke and you got to get back on even footing. I mean, imagine the pressure of being Billy Joel and knowing the expectation of what people think you're going to put out there. You got nothing in the bank. You just got $30 million taken from you, and you've got to write music, and you've got to hit a home run. That's pressure.
And he did.
Pressure.
And he hit a grand slam. You love pressure. I got my playlist up, my Spotify playlist. So other bands that I've got on here: Fleetwood Mac.
I love Fleetwood Mac.
Steely Dan.
I like Steely Dan.
Eagles.
Loved. I saw him in concert. Love him.
Jackson Browne.
Loved a couple of good songs. I like Jackson Browne.
And then Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Yeah.
Doobie Brothers, one of my favorites. I really do
Doobies.
Like Little Phil Collins.
Okay, I like Phil.
Elton John, Dave Matthews Band, Boss Skaggs, Stevie Wonder, Lionel.
Oh, Boss Skaggs. That's an under the radar one. Boss Skaggs.
And one of my dad's favorites was Bob Seger.
I love Bob Seger. I got a funny story for you about Bob Seger. By the way, you're an old soul.
Very much so.
Yeah, that's a good thing, man. Given you said, what are you, 30? How old are you now? 30?
Yeah, 30. But that's what I grew up with. Hey, City of Cleveland, rock and roll.
I know. I get it. I am, this was my second or third job, and I'm doing sports radio in Detroit, and I live in Troy, which is it's actually 16 miles from where the Lions and everybody plays downtown, right on 75. I'm in a nice suburb. I'm not like in the heart of the city. I'm not below 8 Mile, put it that way. And there was an indoor bubble toward Pontiac, and it's so cold up there, as you know, where you can go and hit golf balls, right? And, I'm hitting golf balls. It's like just a massive monstrosity of a golf bubble. I'm ripping away, trying to rip and rip. And I see this guy next to him, like, he's got such a pure swing. And John, all I hear is thwack, 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 like pure and 5-iron, right? It's Bob Seger.
Come on.
It's Bob Seger. I love Bob Seger. And
That's
I said,
amazing.
and I didn't want to bother him. I'm like, and finally, I'm like, Mr. Seeger, how? And he doesn't know. I'm nobody now. He certainly doesn't know me then. I'm like, Mr. Seeger, I just wanted to say hi. I'm a huge fan. I said, hey, and I was out of college a couple of years before that. I said, I think the highest compliment that I could pay you as a musician is that we used to listen to music in college. And even though a lot of your stuff is older, I said, we love you. He was so genuinely taken back and receptive of hearing that from a younger fan of his, at that point, younger fan of his music. What a great guy. Very affable, and then he wound up being a great conversationalist. I felt like I was intruding on his time. He talked to me for like 15 minutes, kept bullshitting. I'm like, this guy's the best.
Did he?
Yeah.
And,
oh, God.
And he's really good. I
Yes,
mean,
he is.
You think, We've Got Tonight comes to mind.
Oh, yeah. We
Night
got
Moves.
tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Night Moves.
Oh, that's a great one.
Hollywood Nights.
Hollywood Nights, a little bit later, sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like that,
what? Give me a group that you haven't seen in concert that you'd want to.
Whew, I've seen Hall & Oates.
Did you really? Hall & Oates, man.
Yeah,
you are an old soul.
PNC, yeah.
Man Eater.
Yeah, right.
Whoa,
yeah,
Man Eater.
Yeah. She's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, look, Doobies I have appreciation for. Earth, Wind, and Fire I've never seen, and I think it would be interesting. I would just like to see them before. I got to see Lionel Richie at the Final Four last year. I thought he was still excellent. So
he's a legend, man. Lionel Richie had some banging, dancing on the ceiling. I mean, and not to mention the Commodores before that. Lionel Richie's all timer.
We're dancing on the ceiling.
Johnny
Hopefully
boy.
the Johnnies are this weekend.
No, man, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna get you out of here in a minute or so. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Let's see. Hit the social media.
Are you gonna hit anywhere in San Diego?
I don't know what. Here's the problem, John. So I don't have anxieties about anything. Like, I don't. Not that. I mean, I got enough things going around this brain of mine, right? But I'm really not that anxious about much in life. I'm not. But I'm a little bit anxious about this because, number one, so we were going to leave today. Initially, the university said they're going to leave Tuesday, but it's dependent upon the NCAA with the charters.
Right.
Blah. Get out there, get used to the time difference, get some shots up, whatever. So if that's the case, I would have gone. They're going tomorrow. We're leaving tomorrow, chartering at I think 10 a.m. So we'll be out there whenever we get out there. But the problem is it's still kind of cold here. I don't know where my shorts are. I don't know where my golf shirts are. It's like, and I'm not like, I don't get overwhelmed by packing. I don't need to pack like 9 pairs of shoes like my wife, but I'm a little like, what do I bring? Where do I go? And I'm going to be there Wednesday, Thursday, provided they win Friday, Saturday, Sunday, even if they win or lose against Kansas, whatever, probably come back Monday. Like, I'm going to be gone a while. So I don't really know what the hell I'm going to do because now I got to figure out how I'm going to do this show, and I'm going to figure it out without my microphone, which is drilled into my desk and my camera. I got to figure. You got any advice here, dude? I got to figure this out, John.
Well, you got some radio guys there, so it's not like you can't maybe get creative a little bit, but you've got I mean, I've tried the Amazon, and you could always get into the hotel like a little portable that then you could put either through your laptop or with your phone. I've got that equipment, and it's pretty easy to use. And then you've got that to number one have through your computer. But I've had there's a microphone you could get it off Amazon where you can use and it USB-C's right into your phone.
Okay, is it a clip-on type? Okay,
yeah, it's pretty easy. And then St. John's beats Northern Iowa, and you're in the back, and maybe you get the quick combo with coach or a player or whoever. Yeah. It's now technology's never been better. But you're right. Like when you don't have your full studio set up, yes, it might be a hotel, maybe it's a San Diego park or something. You have have a little bit of fun out and about.
I'll figure it out.
I think you'll have a nice as long as they win Friday, you might have a nice weekend diary of what's going on out there. The curious thing is, I mean, or not curious, but the crazy thing is, you get back from San Diego and then it's like, okay, if they're in DC, here we go.
I know.
Like, the tournament's exhausting. I hate when people complain. I don't like it, but I will say the tournament turnaround, it's something, man.
It's a lot.
It does not stop.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So all the work you do, you come back, and little Andrew's sleeping, tucked away, 10 months old. God bless him. You sit down with your wife, and you want to have a drink. Do you have or do you not drink because of your dad? Because
No. I do drink. Yeah.
What are we doing? Beer, glass of wine. What is Fanta sitting down to kick back and have?
A perfect drink for me would be a glass of Cab.
Okay.
If I have a beer, it's a Miller Lite. Or Great Lakes. I love Great Lakes Brewing. They do sell it in different liquor stores across New York, New Jersey. If you've never had Great Lakes Christmas Ale, folks, your life will be changed.
I love it.
It is fantastic.
Browns, Tribe, Cavs. One team can win a championship in the next 5 years. What would make you feel better?
Oh man, I mean, I'll cry if the Browns if they freaking win a home playoff game, because we haven't even hosted a playoff game in my time in my 30 years of life. We've never had a home playoff game.
Oh
so
God.
It's I get it. When Jet fans complain, I get it. I'll be emotional with the Guardians, and I do think I pray to the heavens. I do think someday we will do it. We came so close in 2016. I think Brandon, they are so well run.
Yes, they are.
Antonetti and Chernoff, what they've built.
Yep.
Stephen Vogt was an ace hire.
Mm-hmm.
They're the one. If you put together teams that were like, okay, they're cheaper, but they'd be on the list of teams that, like, man, they just, that playoff series with the Yankees now, the year before last, it was still a great series. The Yankees, they took it, but every game went down to the wire. And Giancarlo Stanton said, "I'm not losing."
I know. Oh, and Judge hit one too as well, but Stanton hit that bomb. So, what was your dad's favorite team? Which team was his favorite? Like the one that
Browns guy. It's a football town. It's a football town.
Yeah,
He's a Browns guy. But the Tribe, that place is rocking and rolling all throughout the summer. It's a fun weekend vibe. They've done a great job with that ballpark. Look, I was 7 when LeBron got drafted. The Cavaliers have a lot of interest, and when they went to the finals in 2007, I can remember people out in the streets. When they won the championship, that was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
But Brandon, make no mistake about it, if the Cleveland Browns ever get good, it will be the wildest scene, wild a scene as you've seen in football.
I believe it. Didn't they do something years? Didn't they do something? I think it was actually when they beat the Jets on that Thursday night. Didn't they have like beers that they unlocked fridges?
Unlocked fridges.
Something like that, right?
Unlocked fridges. It was unbelievable. The Jets should have won that game. Another game that Todd Bowles,
John, wait, is that the game where Baker came in?
That was Baker's debut.
It was. It was the week 2 of the season, I believe.
That was Baker's debut, and then it all went downhill from there.
I thought so. All right, well, listen, man, you've been generous with your time. I'm really happy for you. I'm proud of you. I think your messages are great. I think your talent speaks for itself. I think your commitment to your craft is undeniable. And I'm looking forward to seeing where this takes you, man. I think it's going to be it's already been an amazing journey. Enjoy the early stage of the fatherhood. It goes fast, dude. You seem like you have a great work-life balance, and really good to have you on the show. I appreciate it today, John.
Well, Brandon, anytime. I respect your work, love your work. You do a phenomenal job, and you've got a fan with BT Unleashed, and it's certainly listening to you on the radio this week. And anytime. Well, love talking it up with you. Can't wait to do it again. Thank you.
You got it. Enjoy the hoops, baby. I'll see you soon, dude. There he is. All right. So J-Rod.
Oh, man.
He is I was going to say a rising star. He's past that point. He is, and you see how humble he is.
Set up too.
Yeah, get that. You see how humble he is? He's just a good guy.
I mean, this is what I'll say. It's rare when you see interviews that really like sit with you, like, and really kind of change your perspective on things. Like that really touched me right there. Obviously the stuff with his father, his faith, but also just like he's a young man who's wise beyond his years. I think that's what's insane to me is he's a young dude, but he carries such wisdom when he speaks and such, fortitude. And I thought that was easily the best interview we've had thus far on this show.
They keep getting better. Wow.
They just keep getting, I thought that was incredible.
That's awesome, man. I love it. I knew it was going to be good. And listen, it's different than, it's different. It was different than Kay, different than LaGreca.
Very different.
It'll be different. Nikki Lautarulo is going to join me tomorrow. That's going to be different than John. Yeah, he does have a sageness. He's got a perspective. Like I had a very different style and a very different delivery, and I still do. I didn't have that. I don't think I had that clarity at the age of 30. I was, you know what I mean? I didn't have it.
Not.
I didn't have that clarity. He's a really grounded young man. And that's, I'm a big fan there. I'm a big fan. What's this from, what do we got? Telly Lot 77. What's up, Telly? John Fanta and Kim Adams are quickly becoming one of the best duos in the business. I enjoyed their coverage of the Women's Big East tournament. UConn is an avalanche. Yeah, he's got some wild calls, man. LOL. Thank you very much. UConn number 13. Very, very generous, dude. Thank you for weighing in with that. Awesome stuff. Yeah, listen, one of the things about this show, listen, there's going to be days during the season like, I don't know, just throw out a name like, I'm sure she'll do it. I don't want to speak for her, but like I'll get Susan Waldman on, maybe get like, and ask her like actual Yankee questions, one of the things that I really enjoy about being able to do this, it's a free-flowing conversation, and I've obviously got some notes, so I got a couple things I know I want to tap into. But to me, the best conversations are the one where you're just not married to a line of questions. Like he says something, I'm like, that was interesting about his dad, or about his dad with alcoholism, or how his dad passed away so suddenly, or his fatherhood. Like just down, like we're gonna go with this, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully everybody enjoyed that. That was good.
I think what really, at least not to get too meta behind the scenes, I think just what really set that one apart, from the other ones is it really felt like a deep dive into the man himself. Really got a new perspective on who he is as a person.
Amen. No doubt.
Awesome. Just awesome.
That a boy, J-Ron. I love
awesome.
how fired up you are, man. At Gurndog. Try not to be so fired up when Nikki comes on tomorrow. Take it easy, buddy. Gurndog 901. Fanta's personality is great. You can tell he's a genuinely great guy. Wishing him the best. I agree. And listen, there's a lot of really good people in our business, John, but there's also a lot of assholes in our business. There just are. I mean, I'm not going to start naming them, but trust me, there are a lot of jerks in this business. And I get the sense that he's not going to change much. And he's going to only climb higher and higher and higher and make more money and become more successful and become the face of ultimately of a network, maybe call the Super Bowl, NBA Finals. Who knows what's in John's future?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to put a limit on it, but I feel like, he's going to be rooted in that blue collar Ohio, background that his dad passed on. Just a good dude, man. So I saw him at the Big East tournament. I'm like, dude, I got to get you on. He's like, absolutely. And I thought that I had his number. He's like, you still got my number, right? So I opened up my phone. I'm like, I guess I don't have it at all. So I'm like, here, shoot me a number. And I wasn't going to do it right away. I'm like, I'll do it at some point. Then I'm like, why wouldn't I get him on, and
perfect
talk
timing.
St. John? Yeah. I mean, honestly, we could have talked more basketball now that you think about it.
Definitely. Most definitely. But I also that was too good. That was too good.
Any other comments before we, I got to go pack here. Good.
Let's see. I mean, everyone's kind of, let's see. I mean, you can tell me how breaking this is.
All right.
Fins trade Jalen Waddle to Broncos. Broncos get Waddle and Dolphins 4th round pick. Fins get Broncos 1st round pick. 30th overall, along with their late 3rd and 4th round picks.
Hold on, keep this up there. Hold on. Is this real?
This real.
All right. So the Fins trade Waddle, and I'm not surprised, to Denver. Denver gets Waddle and the 4th round pick, so they get that coming from Miami. Miami gets from Denver a their 1st round pick, 30th overall, along with their late 3rd and 4th round picks, 30th in each round. That's a very interesting. That's not like a little, nickel and dime NFL trade right there. That's pretty interesting. Number 1, Jalen Waddle's good. Number 2, you got 1st round capital. Number 3, you got a 3rd round pick and a 4th round pick. Certainly 3rd is a very premium pick, even though it's at the back end of the 3rd round. Wow. You have Waddle's numbers from last year.
Let me pull them up.
And just pop them up there. Give me, what has he been around now? I don't know, 4 years, whatever it's been, something like that. I'm throwing it out there. Some quarterback issues. Tua, I'm not a huge fan. Obviously, Kyler Murray is there now. I think Jalen Waddle is really, really good.
Last season, he had 64 receptions, 910 yards, 6 touchdowns.
How many games? Did he play all the games? I thought he missed a little bit with a hammy or something.
Played.
I thought he missed a little. How many games
Why
played?
is ESPN annoying me? One sec.
And why?
Dude, This is so okay. It's not. It doesn't show games played for some reason at the top of the.
I mean, come on. We got to get J-Rod a little bit better on these stats here. I notice every time he's looking.
They need to design a website where it goes full stats, game played, percentage, boom. Not this fucking. Sorry, not this BS where I'm scrolling through 9 million different things, sweating, going, "Oh man, when's BT about to get on me?"
Hey, have I really gotten on you? I have a guy
fucking
around
I'm messing with you.
So, but dude, here's what you got to do.
He played 15 games.
So he missed 2. All right. So he
Yeah.
had 60-something catches. So if he would have played 17, he would have been over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. I'm a little hesitant to ask. What did he do the year before?
Oh man.
Jesus.
No, we're going back.
I got you. As you're looking this up, what is your process to look up a stat? Because if I want to look it up, I would just type in. I'd go to Google Jalen Waddle stats.
That's what I did. I did Jalen Waddle.
What the hell popped up?
Stats, and then I go into ESPN itself, like the app.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
this is a little easier now. I got a better kind of lineup.
What are you on Football Reference?
Oh yeah, Football Reference.
There you go.
Let's see. Last season he had 58 receptions. He had 744 yards, 2 touchdowns.
What was his really?
He played 15 games.
What was his really big year? He had over 90 catches one year. What year was that?
Let me go back to 23. Yep, 23. He had 104.
Yeah, I thought so. All right, it's a good move there. That's a good move. J-Rod used Pro Football Reference. Yeah, that's from Avery Summit. Everybody's giving you advice. Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah,
another
listen,
one from
thank you, boys.
J-Rod. Yeah, J-Rod used that. BT and Fanta, both guys you want to grab a beer with and watch some sports with. That's what makes both of you guys so special. That's a great compliment. You know, that's funny. We would always talk about that. Like when I remember when I was at ESPN back in the days, obviously 2003 was when I started there. Radio, did some TV too, but I'm talking about the radio component where, you know, a lot of the things that they would preach about radio, I didn't necessarily agree with because it was people, no disrespect, but people coming in from Bristol trying to tell, and we talked about this when I had LaGreca on. People try to come in from Connecticut from a national point of view, and they were very good nationally at their job. But we're like, it doesn't fly in New York, man. You know, it's gotta have energy, it's gotta have bite, it's gotta have flavor, it's gotta be calls, it's gotta be passion. We gotta get after it, you know. And they're with the teases coming up next. I'll tell you why. Like, there's some of those things I didn't fundamentally agree with, even though they were good people and they were good at their job. But like, I remember one thing that they did say, and this always resonated with guys. At the end of the day, when you're doing a show, you want to come across as somebody that's in their car. This is obviously, you know, in the car, you know, it's a little different now. You just want to be one of those people where people listen and saying, I'd want to have a beer with that dude. I want to sit back and watch a game with that guy, shoot the shit, play around the golf with that guy, have a beer, you know, have a little have a dinner, sit down, have dinner with wings, whatever, watch a game. So I've always kind of, number one, I think I've just always been that person. Like, I've just always enjoyed doing that stuff. And John seems like the same kind of guy. So to me, that's a great compliment. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. How about his musical taste?
Wait, yeah, I can't believe that like lapsed my mind.
It was awesome.
You got Billy Joel game. You're breaking out albums I've never even conceived of.
Billy's my favorite of all time. He's my favorite artist of all time, Billy Joel. Come on. I don't do a lot of karaoke. When I do, I mean, it's been a minute. Big Shot. You know, Big Shot is my song. You know, that's, you know, with your fine Paul giving you clothes. Awesome. Man. Let's go. Give me that mic.
He had serious game.
He did.
And yeah. I mean, definitely like interesting. Like, you know, all his taste was very much like for a dude who's closer to, you know, my age.
For sure.
You know, he's got a very refined taste, so to speak.
He said he got it from his pops. Hold on, I'm trying to pop up something for me here. Where is my music? Hold on.
Also, if he's still listening or if he checks out the end, he's got to see Earth, Wind, and Fire. Best concert I've ever seen.
Oh, where did you see them?
My mom, my friend, and my brother and I, we saw them in Bridgeport, Connecticut 2 years ago in the summer. It was incredible. It was really sick. It was sick. I think their lead singer has passed on, but
I was going to say
every other member of the band is still there, still rocking. It was just sick. It was such a good time.
I love it, dude. All right, so look, so now I don't know why it took so freaking long to figure this out, but I'll give you guys a little treat. I can't play the music with like copyright stuff, so I can't. I'm looking at my phone. I got my music here. I'll give you the first 15. I want you to count. All right.
All right.
It's in alphabetical order. I'm going to give you the first 15 groups or individual artists in my phone. By the way, check that out. You got to love that. I know I showed you you ready? AC/DC. When I say it, just give me the number. AC/DC.
1.
Aerosmith.
2.
Bad Company.
3.
Beastie Boys.
4.
Billy Joel.
5.
Bon Jovi.
6.
Boss Skaggs.
7.
He said that.
Yep.
Bruce.
8.
Bryan Adams.
9.
Busta Rhymes.
10.
Cat Stevens.
Oh, 11.
The Charlie Daniels Band.
Haven't heard of them. I'll check them out. 12.
All right. Counting Crows.
Yep. 13.
Creed. Cypress
14.
Hill.
15.
Cypress Hill.
Oh my gosh. Hits from the bong.
Yep. Dr. Dre.
Oh,
And then I got a little
16.
Digital Underground. Do you know anything about?
Yeah,
you know
that's
them?
Pac, right?
That's
Tupac?
Pac. The sex
Yep.
package. Yeah.
Yep.
That was we used to bump that in college, man. That was good.
Dude, I mean, you got some real heaters right
And
there.
not just the Humpty Dance, which is like the mainstream.
Yeah,
Like,
I
there was
remember that track.
Well, no, definitely. There were some beats on the back end. I knew every single word. Oh my God. That was a great album. Digital Underground, my God.
Here's something interesting for
What?
Maverick Summit. Maybe this is like a little psychoanalysis. You might be right, though. He's an old soul, which is increasingly rare these days, which is why J-Rod appreciates him so much. He's not used to seeing one. You're probably right. Like, I think this is something I've certainly grown to learn since becoming a podcast producer, is that I think a lot of the people I do really respect are these kind of older soul kind of dudes who come at it from, a blunt, maybe just because of my father kind of deal, like a blunt blue collar perspective sort of deal. I think, obviously growing up as a young dude, like you're molding yourself, but you're in a lot of different things. But now that like my career has been me interacting with a lot of these former athletes, guys like this, dudes in the sports industry, like it has really shown me a kind of man that I do really enjoy listening to speak, listening to interviews from, and just like really respect. Like,
nice, dude.
Yeah, like I feel like Fanta, I mean, all these guys you get, Patino, K, Greco. Like, I love these just raw dudes.
No, what about me? I mean, come on.
You're
me first.
there, but that's blanket. That's obvious. I'm working. Like, that's obvious.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, to me, there's no other way to be. I mean, to me, and it's a tough balance, but to be like, you can be blunt and you can be aggressive and you can be assertive and you can take no prisoners and you can be unapologetic, but you can also show respect. Like, it's not hard to do all those things, which I think that I do. I'm not saying I'm perfect by any stretch, but I always really do try to show respect. And that to me is definitely an older generation throwback. And I'm not saying that the young generation doesn't show respect. I don't mean that at all. But I just think that there's such a freedom by a lot of people, generally those who are younger. I hate to paint with such a broad brush, but generally, because the younger generation can say whatever they want. And for the most part, they're not getting their fucking face beat in by somebody's fist.
Yeah.
Whereas if you would have said something like that back in the day, like if some of the things, and I'm not saying I was Johnny Tough Guy at all. I had a couple scraps. I probably lost one more than I won. Maybe, I was basically a tomato can fit, and the last real one that I had was in college, but and I won that one, thank you, against a football player. But as a long time ago. But I knew that if I popped off and I said the wrong thing to somebody in my neighborhood, I was getting drilled. I'll actually tell you that this is true.
Oh no.
They tweet and how they talk to people. There's no repercussions. It's all faceless. It's all anonymous. And let me peck away that's why I don't get involved, and I never have, and I never will. I don't get involved in like radio wars and radio beefs and talking shit online. I don't do that. But I remember I told you we had the backyard hoop in my backyard, like the little my little concrete slab. You couldn't take jump shots. You had to dunk. It was, oh God. Anyway, we're playing back there one day, and my best friend Brian at this point was tough, like karate and played football, but not a basketball player, right? And not even a good baseball player. Not a good ball player, but a good athlete. So anyway, his brother, right, who I knew because my dad coached him. Big, there's like 7 of them. Big Irish family, tough, right? I was there every day. I saw this guy, his name is Pat. Saw him every day. This is my best friend's older brother, who I played baseball with, okay? And I guess, I actually do remember saying this. I was in probably the 5th grade, and his girlfriend was walking on the other side of the street. And we were, we're young, I hadn't even hit puberty yet, but like, I said something like, crass. I think I said something like nice ass. It's just stupid. I did. That's exactly what I yelled at him. Like, hey, nice ass, right? And then we went back and we were playing. I thought I was cool and everything. And like 30 minutes later, Pat, who really never was in my backyard, he wasn't a basketball player. He was a football player and a fighter and a little baseball. Pat was tough as nails. And I see him walking into my backyard. I'm like, hey, what's going on, Pat? He didn't even say hello. He wound up and he clocked me right in the fucking nose as hard as he could. And he walked out of my yard.
That's crazy.
Yep.
At 10? 10
No,
years
I
old?
was in the 5th grade, so I was 11.
Yeah.
He was 12. He was definitely a year older, and he was a tough kid. I did not go down. Somehow I don't know how I didn't go down.
There we go.
But I didn't throw a punch back. I was actually scared. I'm like, and it was literally my best friend by a mile, and I was at their house all the time. I think that's why I was so stunned, because I'm like, even though he was never in my backyard, I'm like, hey, what's going on, Pat? And it wasn't like, hey, what's up? It was just walk straight to me, and I should have probably detected that he had a different look in his eyes. Bang, right here, dude, right in the face. Oh. His brother didn't help me out either. His brother knows, I guess his brother was scared of him too. Everybody was kind of scared of him, and he just made a U-turn. He walked out of my, didn't care if my mom was home, my dad was home, anybody was out. So didn't care. Came in, message delivered. Don't ever say that. I'm in the 5th grade. Don't ever say that to my girlfriend again. So when that happens to you,
you learn.
You learn. And that's why you don't feel like you've got the latitude and the license to just anonymously diss people and say whatever you want. And I do think, again, I know it's a broad brush, but I do think that is a virtue and a characteristic of the older generation that is kind of subsided.
I'm still waiting on the first dude to punch me in the face and teach me not to talk shit. I'm still waiting on him.
Yeah, you don't need. It was different back then. It was different.
We got Super Game and Chill Bro 6643. How does that Jalen Waddle trade affect the AFC East? And now Miami feels like they are in tear down mode too. How do you feel about that? Crazy free agency. It
has been pretty crazy, and super Game Man Chill Bros appreciate that, and good job reading that handle 664. You can keep it up a little bit for the super chat. Give him a little bit of love there with the handle. Appreciate. Yeah, when we get the super chats, keep them up a little bit more. I mean, listen, I think it's it's interesting in terms of the AFC East. It's the Bills and the Patriots and everybody else. I mean. So I don't think it changes energy. I don't know that Miami's stripping down. I mean, they got to get their finances straight. Obviously, Tua is gone. You have a new quarterback. I think he's going to play pretty well. They're not going to go up to. They're not the kind of team that, in my opinion, that's going to go up to Buffalo in December or the playoff game, like if they're a wild card, or go up to Gillette, Foxborough, beat Drake May, beat Vrabel, beat that running attack. They're not built for that yet. And the Jets are nowhere near that either. I think that, I think there's a clear pecking order of supremacy in the AFC East. There's no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. I think that there's a chance that the Jets could be slightly better than Miami with an O-line and, better quarterback play with Geno. Certainly not that he's a star, but he's better than what they've had. Maybe you draft a receiver at 16. You brought in a lot of defenders, which they needed to. You're definitely going edge at number 2, whether it's Reese from Ohio State, whether it's the kid from Texas Tech. I think it's going to be more Reese. Could be Styles. They could trade down. Mm-hmm. You could take Caleb Downs, the safety. I can't wait for the draft talk. Like, I've kind of suspended that a little bit, and not just for the Jets and the Giants. Let me address this here. Some of you have said, hey, I love what you do. It's a little local heavy. It's always going to slant a little bit more local, but I promise you guys, like NFL draft, NFL season, NBA playoffs, it's going to have much more of a national feel. There's going to be a lot more for everybody. Just understand that and know that. I'm not trying to replicate exactly what I did on WFAN. I'm evolving and I'm changing. And I did national stuff for 10 years with Tiki, and I really enjoyed it. And I did drive time at San Francisco. I was in a different market. I worked in Detroit. I worked in Pennsylvania, so I'm gonna bring other stuff to you. It's not just gonna be me shoving Judge and Soto and Schlittler and McClain down your throat and, Jackson Dart and Gino. We're going to do more and more as we build this thing out. You know what I'm saying?
Get ready for some cricket. Yeah, get ready for some world cricket talk.
I don't know about that. Have you ever played? I got a couple of quick ones for you. Talking about sports off the road. Just give me a quick yes or no. Have you ever played tennis?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Yes.
Okay, me too. Have you ever play racquetball?
No.
Oh, I'm going to tell you a funny racquetball story in a second. Racquetball story, Las Vegas. Okay. Have you ever played ping pong?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. We started playing ping pong competitively in our home. Like, we love it. We got a net that we set up on the dining room table. It's great.
I've had like a couple games over the past year where I've tried to get into it a little more. So,
it's great. You know what I can't do? I admit, like, of course, I can serve if I'm serving easy. I'm a very good volleyer, but I don't have spin on the serve. Like, I can't
it's tough.
Spin it and keep it in, If I could get that down, when I get that down, I'm going to be tough to beat. All right, the racquetball story. So I remember I'm living in Vegas. This is early, again, 2000, whatever, just starting out. And I lived with a bunch of dudes. And we rented a house in Henderson, Nevada. No, I'm sorry. This is before we went into the house. I was in an apartment. Like, I got the job, and there was a guy, Steve Caulfield, who, if anybody knows Steve, he's a big wig out in Las Vegas doing radio, UNLV stuff, Raider stuff. Great guy. Awesome dude. I got to get Steve on the show. Steve's got some stories from Vegas that, I have to tell him a couple things he can't tell, but there are some things he could tell. We went nuts together. All right. So before we moved into the house and basically turned it into Entourage without the money, that's how I describe it. We were Entourage, but we were piss poor. He and I, he had an extra bedroom, and because I got the job and he was higher up at the network, like I was just starting out. He's like, dude, just, my boss is like, hey, there's a Jersey guy. You might connect with him, went to Rutgers, and we know you from New York. So anyway, I started living with him, and we had a blast, right? And we would play racquetball. So we were in, like, when you live in like Arizona or Nevada or out there, dude, you got the community pool, you got the racquetball, you got the workout room, you got the palm trees. It's just phenomenal. A little barbecue. So I'm living like Melrose Place lifestyle. Yeah. I'm having a good time, man. And me and Steve, and he was good. Every day we would play racquetball death matches.
Oh, that's so fun,
death matches. And to the point where not only did you just talk shit, when somebody was vulnerable, like maybe like if they're up on the wall and you're coming in, you basically look to take their fucking eye out. Like you would smash it. And we were young, like we were aggressive. And I remember we kept playing, and I think we played best of three. And it was the third game. I won the first, he won the second. And now it's like point match. And we just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
I remember diving for it, and I flicked it, and I saved it from hitting it twice. I dived full extension, parallel to the ground, but now I'm facing the wall, and he just smashes at me, and I lose, right?
Uh-huh.
I tell you, it was a good friend of mine. Really great guy, man. I lived with him, and I hung out with him every day. I got so pissed. I didn't say anything. It was a glass. So imagine we're playing racquetball, and you have to enter through a glass door, and the entire. So if anybody who plays racquetball, generally that whole wall is glass. You can kind of see people playing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Can you get that visual?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm fucking heated, and I walk out, and I didn't mean to do this, and I slammed the door open, right? And as the door opened, this is all glass, keep in mind.
Yeah.
It cracks, the hinge cracks, whatever the hell happened. Boom! The entire wall.
The wall.
From ceiling to floor falls on me, right?
No,
on me. Way. Yeah. Yep. Falls on me, and I've got glass all over me. What an idiot. And I go, and he looks at me, and I go, dude, you got to take me to the hospital. He's like, all right, let's go. Let's go. And I remember, I probably shouldn't tell this part, but whatever, man. I remember there was like a camera, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to get in trouble. Cause I didn't mean to break it. So I remember like, this is like my Brooklyn mind, like trying to cover
limitations. You're good.
I know. This is like my Brooklyn mind trying to cover my tracks. I take the towel that I would wipe my head off with. And I remember placing it over the camera. and walking out to go to the hospital. I wasn't really sick, but I had to get some stitches in my arm. I had to get some glass out, whatever.
Yeah.
Thankfully, not in my eyes. I'm like, imagine like committing a crime, which it wasn't a crime. It was just an act of idiocy and immaturity. And I would never do that again. I was just 4 years old, and a raving lunatic who hated losing. Imagine at the age of that age, like doing something, a crime, right? Because it wasn't cheap. Like if they actually found out, that would have been thousands of. It was thick glass, thousands upon thousands. I was making $3,000. I was piss poor. And then committing a crime, again, quotes, and putting a towel over the camera and thinking that that's going to prevent you from coming. And I remember, Jared, because it really was like Melrose Place. It was like this gorgeous, again, palm trees, pool, jacuzzi, a clubhouse, the whole spiel. And I like every time the bell would ring, I'm like, oh, is that the cops? I thought that they were going to find out that I broke the window, the wall by accident.
Too funny.
Dude,
oh my gosh, dude.
I was scared shitless. And then we actually, as we were looking for the house, because we then had two other guys that we hung out at the station with all the time that we knew we wanted to find a bigger house with a backyard, which we did. That kind of accelerated the move. We're like, let's get out of here, man. Let's leave. Let's find a home and let's get out of here. Let's get out of the complex, dude.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That was wild living in Las Vegas. It was absolutely crazy.
So at the time you lived with people who you were also doing radio with.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's interesting because that's like that almost ties into like the content creators of today. Where like you'll be in like a YouTube video house with the people you're making like YouTube vids with and stuff like that.
Dude, thank God there was no YouTube or cameras back then.
Oh
It's funny. I remember because talking about Billy Joel, myself, John Fanta. I may have told the story, so this one will be a short story short. I promise. Like this particular night, I just didn't want to go out. Like we were going out every night. I'm exhausted, and I had a girlfriend at the time, so I had the downstairs bedroom, and those because it had like a shower and privacy for her.
Sure.
And those three guys had their bedrooms upstairs, right? So I don't know, maybe we went to the movies, whatever her and I did. And I wake up the next morning and I just see on the grease board, you missed an epic night. Like, because like we'd write stuff about
cool.
Billy Joel at the casino, New York, right? It's on the strip. New York. It's right near the Excalibur. It's near it's across the street from the MGM Grand. If you guys know Vegas, you can guys see what I'm saying here. It's near the Luxor, right? The pyramid one. New York. It's got the big roller coaster. They're like Billy Joel showed up at New York casino and jumped on a piano, and I was not there. The one night I didn't go out. I'm tired, guys. I'm tired. I missed Billy Joel just hammering out the piano.
Yeah, like that's like just your luck. Like that's just the kind of stuff that happens. Like you skip out on a night and then
oh my god,
and then Billy Joel sits at a piano.
Yep, and he's my favorite all time. I mean, I've seen him many times. I saw his final play at Shea when Tony Bennett came out. I saw. Oh my god, I mean, I've seen him at the Garden. I mean, I've seen him. I actually saw Billy. I wasn't a big Elton John fan growing up. I don't know. I just wasn't a big fan. But Elton John's amazing.
Yeah.
And I saw Elton John, and at the time, I saw him in 1996 at the Old Meadowlands. It was Elton John and Billy joint.
No, I have a T-shirt. I think I may have sold it. I'll try to pull up a picture of it. I have a T-shirt from that tour. Or I had for a while. It got a little small on me.
Yeah. Where'd you get that? Like some vintage? Because
online, like eBay.
Wow.
But it was cool, and it was one of the concerts they did in Syracuse. Hold on, I found it.
Up in Syracuse. Okay, at the Carrier. Oh, look at this.
Elton and Billy face to face.
That's awesome. Now, what year is that from? About
this one was 2002. So actually, different tour. If yours was 96. Later. That's cool that they did them multiple times together, though.
I guess they did. I remember, Billy playing some of Elton's stuff and Elton playing a couple of Billy songs.
That's cool.
It was great. It was a really good concert. Yeah. But I missed him. I missed him at the casino that night. All right, let me get maybe another tweet here or another read here. Anything else that pops out before we get rolling here?
Yeah, I'd definitely say this one. If Judge captains USA to a championship tonight, what does that do for his legacy? If anything at all.
To me, nothing. This is where I'm going to keep it 100% real. Nothing. I want Team USA to win. I wanted to win the other night. I want to win every game. I want to beat Venezuela. I am not wrestling with, I just don't I don't think this way myself. Like, McLean's pitching and he's a Met. I'm about the United States. Let's go. So I think that, I think we will win. Now, I'd love to see Judge pop a home run instead of, striking out with a couple of guys on base like he did the other night, even though he's got a couple of home runs. He's played good defense. I'd love to see for Aaron Judge, I would like to see him have a clutch moment because there's still some people who don't think he's clutch. And you listen, up until last year in the playoffs, he wasn't incredibly clutch. That's not a it's not manufacturing lies. He hasn't been incredibly clutch over the year. It's changing now. So maybe if he goes deep, it'll be some people get off his back a little bit, but you will never, let's put it this way, say 10 years, whatever, Judge retires, Hall of Fame, obviously first ballot, probably every vote, 596 home runs because he started late and whatever he has, the 5 MVPs. You're not going to, if he's without a World Series championship as a Yankee, I promise you will not hear me say, yeah, that WBC championship. It will not even be a point of reference. I clearly and distinctly separate the two. It's fun. It's incredibly competitive. It's a great look for baseball. It's energized me even more for the start of the real baseball season. I've leaned into it more and more and more from its infancy. I gave you guys the attendance numbers before. I'll give you this before I bounce. So I'm going to just read it kind of quick in succession. 09, let's see here. I'm going to go 2013, 2017, 2023, 2026. Total attendance, not viewership. 781,000, 973,000, 1.1 million, 1.4 million. So nice little incremental bump each year. And the coverage seems to be getting better. And the energy is real and palpable. So it's been terrific. But no, even if Aaron Judge hits a walk-off grand slam down 3, all I will say tomorrow is he's still the best player I've ever seen. But legacy, no, that will not. No, same with like Brunson wins the MVP in the All-Star game, or the shootout with Cat now in Houston, or an Olympic gold medal. That's I can't end on that. That's one thing that used to drive me nuts about Carmelo Anthony's resume.
What that they'd say? He's a gold medalist. He's a gold medalist. He's great. He's a
I know.
Great.
I know, Jay.
And I'm a Syracuse guy, but I will admit that is the biggest farce of an argument ever.
I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it anymore. It was like almost in lieu of an NBA championship. I'm like, no, you can win 6 Olympic gold medals, and if you have no championships, you're not an NBA champion. And in that sport, as well as if you're a quarterback in the NFL, there's a price and a penalty that comes with that, whether it's right or wrong, justified or not. And I know that there's a lot of circumstances that get ignored over time. Like you'll hear, Barkley never won. Ewing never won. Stockton never won. Karl Malone never won. Yeah. But
they were on the dream team.
No, I know. But I mean, like some of the details that I know that maybe some other NBA fans don't know. Like Kobe had Shaq and Magic had Kareem and Larry Bird had Kevin McHale. No, Patrick Ewing had John Starks, who was a B minus B type of player. He just was. He made one All-Star team? I love Oak, tough. They weren't stars. He never had that secondary star. So people say Pat wasn't a champion, and they're right. He was not an NBA champion, but it really wasn't his fault, all right? And, there's some of that would also support Carmelo, but Carmelo Anthony was on way too many Knick teams that were 23, 25, 30 wins going nowhere and just wretched and doormats and just dumpster fires that I don't care. If he lights the Olympic flame every single time, every single Olympic moving forward, and he coaches Team USA to 5 more gold medals, it doesn't matter to me. Like, I separate the two. I'm not trying to diss him. I just separate the two.
No,
I love for Carmelo. Great scorer. Good guy.
They're vastly different. Similar thing, although much less, because I think a lot of his other career stats speak more, but like Chris Paul a little bit as well with this, but definitely not as much.
All right, homie. Let me get out. Let me get out of here. So tomorrow, good show today, by the way. John was great. We're going to get chop that up separately, obviously, from the other stuff that we do here. He's going to get the shorts out, do a great job with that. The shorts took off. The shorts yesterday and some of the stuff with Beningo. I mean, one of our higher short number. So you guys are doing a good job with the likes and the sharing and the subscriptions. We got to get all that up. Tomorrow, now, we're flying out at 10 a.m. St. John's, and this is when I go on the air at 10. So I'm going to have Nikki on. I'm just going to I recorded it. I'm not going to try to lie to anybody. Some people try to, present this live. I recorded it last night. She's phenomenal. I mean, it's really good. It's right? You were there.
It's right up there with the Fanta right here. Like that one,
Very different.
It was great, super different from the Fanta. Really gives you a unique perspective from a young person in the industry.
And a young woman.
Especially young woman. I thought, like you get a super fresh perspective.
Nice.
I thought that was cool.
And it's over an hour, so that'll be on tomorrow. And then what I'll do is, and I'll let you guys know about this on X and on Instagram, and obviously on the YouTube channel, there's a post tab where I'll let you guys know. I know some of you know this because some of you chime in, like I'll alert you of a guest or whatever might be going on. I will also use that to let you know. I'm sure I'll go live a few times in San Diego. Obviously, I'll be doing the game. What I'd love to really do, I just got to figure out when we'll do it. I know Mink will do it. Him and I will go and, sit somewhere and have a drink and just put the phone up, honestly, and just go live.
Literally just like put the phone like that. Boom, done.
Just have a conversation.
That'd be great.
Mink. So
that'd be great.
I'll do something, and I'll bring you, obviously, the NCAA tournament to you, obviously focusing on St. John's, but some other cool stuff. Tomorrow, I'll find some time to at least hit up what happens tonight in the WBC. So it's going to be a little different, but there'll be plenty of content, I promise. Nikki, tomorrow, if you guys missed anything, go check it out. Like it, subscribe, share it, get it all out there. J-Rod, you and I will be doing our thing connecting, so I'll talk to you down line and on text and all that stuff. And
have a safe trip.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it, Jay. Thanks, brother. And everybody else, man, I'll check you guys from the road. And Nikki tomorrow, Nikki Lattarulo, 10 a.m. from SNY, covers St. John's. We'll have a little fun with her. And we'll do the rest of the stuff from San Diego, hopefully for 2 wins. Hopefully St. John's gets to the Sweet 16 and takes another step compared to a year ago. So I got to go. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have an awesome, awesome rest of your Tuesday. Peace.
This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your